From New York City, this is America's Day at the Races. As always, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Headed to Times Square New Year's Eve. Might want to bring a poncho. Headed to Aqueduct, the World Trade Center. Don't need a poncho right now. The rain has ceased for the time being. Rather comfortable, actually. Temperature in the high 40s, low 50s for the final 3 races in 2024. From Aqueduct Racetrack alongside handicapper Jonathan Kinchin, Aqueduct's all-time leading rider, Richie Migliore. I'm Lafitte Pinkai. Richie, so yeah, it's not raining anymore, but that track is very wet. You rode on like a zillion days like this here at Aqueduct over the years. What are some of the biggest challenges for the riders?
Well, the biggest challenge is handling goggles, right? You're especially if you're on closers, you're getting a lot of kickback thrown in your face, and just making sure you have your goggles set up properly and handle that well. And it's not as easy as it sounds, right? You get 2 reins, a riding crop, your goggles, steering a 1,000-pound animal amongst other 1,000-pound animals with guys that want to beat you, and then tactically identifying where the best part of the racetrack is.
Yeah, a lot of tasking right on a day like this, outdoor sport. You play the hand you're dealt, JK. Same can be said for the handicappers. How much of an adjustment are you making based on the wet racetrack?
Well, it's not nearly as difficult for me. All I need is my Naira Bets account and some past performances. I can figure the rest of it out, and I was at no point am I in danger as well. So, I mean, there's not too many adjustments. I think I want to be forward with horses on a racetrack like this. But outside of that, I try not to get too carried away with the change in surface. This is a game that's played outdoors, and sometimes it's played on a racetrack like this. And if you get too carried away, it can sometimes lead you down a path of getting away from what you know is true.
Good news, no channel surfing this afternoon on Fox Sports Run throughout the entire 3-hour broadcast. Today's race is brought to you by Colebrook Farm, 100 years doing the usual unusually well. Aqueduct late pick 3 moments away. Featured event, 120th running of the Queens County and Oaklawn. Canceled yesterday. Heavy rain, lightning. Back at it today. Exciting program. All 2-year-olds all the time. The future. Aptly named year-end stakes race number 9. To the live racing. Race 7. Aqueduct. Few defections, but still a deep, contentious, allowing sprint 7/8 of a mile in the slop. Current favorite at 5-2. Awesome Native with Manny Franco aboard. Let's meet the field as they hit the track moments ago. Reddington is out. General Banker is in. A consistent New York bred.
Real big effort last time, 7 furlongs when he was run down by Ciccio Bella, and he made the first run into a fast pace.
7-2 Contender, then Celestial Glaze for Alex Robb, winning trainer Rudy Rodriguez.
Yeah, this horse is just going to need to get a little bit faster to compete with this group.
Awesome Native, 1 of 2 for Antonio Arriaga.
Yeah, a horse that tries very hard, comes out of a race, a Luminaire. Very nice horse for Todd Pletcher.
5 and 6 are out. Ridgewood Wonner, they're moving quickly. There's Otello and Joel Rosario.
Yeah, Otello started his career 2 for 2, and then he wound up trying Synthetic, Pegasus, Layoff. He's back.
Gun It 14-1. Then Classic Legacy here, who just faced Bank Frenzy, who won yesterday's Alex Robb.
Yeah, he's also coming out of that race with a Luminaire. He was second. He's got a great draw. I think he gets a terrific trip here.
Can you get him to slow down, JK? I keep having to skip you.
Well, I'm blaming it on the cameraman, whoever's the director. That's definitely his fault. Definitely.
This might be me. I'm long-winded.
Tough race here. Late pick 3 starts. Post time in a couple of minutes. And, of course, you can play that late pick 3 with us at NairaBets.com. Sign up now, and when you do so, use that promo code BONUS200. Earn up to a $200 deposit match after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at NairaBets.com to earn your $200 deposit match. As we say hello to Maggie Wolfendale, standing by Trackside. She doesn't complain about the weather. We do, Maggie. Welcome to the broadcast. What are you seeing here pre-race?
Well, to be fair, Lafitte, it's a much nicer day than what it was yesterday. So it is a little breezy up here at Trackside, so horses running into a bit of a headwind. hence my hair blowing in my mouth, which drives me insane. As we'll take a look here at number 8, the Otello, who I'm going to take a shot with. When I saw this horse actually for the first time, oddly enough, back on June 15th for the Pegasus, I just noted that he never really grew. You know, there wasn't that much size to him. He wasn't your kind of typical big burly Curlin. He was a bit smaller, a bit handier and typier. So therefore, I am really intrigued and on the positive end with with this turn back to the 7 furlongs, and it's right there on the form too. This is a horse who's undefeated around 1 turn, beginning his career winning that mile race and then the Mucho Macho Man. He looks phenomenal. So I'm really hoping that the turn back is the key to success for Otello and Christophe Clement. Moving on to another horse that just caught my eye, who's been in consistent and high level form. That's number 2, General Banker for Jimmy Ferraro. This guy just looks phenomenal. Narrowly defeated last time. We'll see how much speed he gets to run into again here, kind of like he did in that New York Stallion Series race. And honestly, he was pretty close to the pace that day, which eventually evaporated with Ciccio Bello coming from last. But I just thought General Banker really flaunting his stuff in the prelims and reflective of a horse who's really doing well at the moment, Lafitte.
Maggie, thanks so much. The wind she referenced, Richie, it's the elements. There's the wet racetrack, and then how much of a factor can the wind actually play in thoroughbred racing?
Well, it plays a big role at Aqueduct because we right on Jamaica Bay, and the wind comes off of there, and sometimes you get a really stiff headwind or a really big tailwind, and you got to be aware of that. You know, when you want to draft, hide behind horses, and when you want to be in the clear.
Yeah, I'm glad. So on the backside, if there's a headwind for a front runner, you're running into a headwind. It makes a big difference, I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Then you definitely want to hide. Let them do the work. Let them cut the wind for you.
JK, you went with the 8, yes?
The 4, but I like the 8
like
too.
4 yeah.
And with a price differential, I thought this was a wide open race. Give me the 8, who was talented in an early portion of the 3-year-old year. Get that improvement over time.
On the Derby Trail for a minute last year, Otello is in. Final check of the tote board reading 5-2. Number 10 Classic Legacy, favorite at post time. Start of the late pick 3. Race 7 from the Big A live on Fox Sports 1. Here's Chris Griffin.
Here's Ridgewood Runner and Squire Creek to the outside. Goes in, all set. And they're off. Good speed from Ridgewood Runner, in between horses, out for early supremacy, and there's Squire Creek from the far outside. Squire Creek is going to be quickest from Merrill Mirage. At Squire Creek, they're up by 3/4 of a length. Ridgewood Runner is down towards the inside, is going to hold that position right there, and joining them in between horses comes Gunnet. That's the leading trio. As taken back will be Ridgewood Runner. Moves right to the outside for some clear running, 22.54 for the opening quarter mile. Right there in fourth is going to be General Banker. Luis Rivera Jr. is towards the inside here of Classic Legacy. Also squeezing through at the rail, that's Celestial Glaze. The 2 trailers there, Otello with the back marker, Awesome Native. Pretty tightly bunched as they work into the far turn. Less than 4 furlongs to go, and Gunnet is the leader. Gunnet is in front, is up by a half length, trying to keep up his Squire Creek. Ridgewood Runner is trying to range back up on the outside here from third. Classic Legacy starts to make up some ground. General Banker has got about 5-6 lengths to make up. The rest got to pick it up from there, as Gunnet is the leader at the top of the stretch, and Gunnet is trying to win it right now. Ridgewood Runner starts to pick up some momentum. Classic Legacy down towards the inside, also trying to rally on his Squire Creek. They got to get to Gunnet in front. It's Gunnet who starts to drift out here in the lane. Gunnet still has a 4-length cushion inside the final 16th. Give it to Gunnet at a price. Gunnet wins it. Classic Legacy second, Ridgewood Runner, and Otello in 1 minute 23.56 seconds.
The theft of a $95,000 horse race, Gunnet gives this field the slip at 16-1 in the 7th. Kick off the late pick 3 at Aqueduct. Wow.
Good speed, was hustled along by Sahin Savachi, a rider that's been plying his trade north of the border up in Canada. Has had a terrific year, over 170 wins, and gets it done here for Ilke Cantermachi. Easy guys to root for. A little erratic there late in the lane, on the wrong lead, kind of ducked out, but was well clear.
Wrong lead, right result. Cantermachi, co-owner and trainer. JK, what was the key to triggering the 16-1 upset?
Well, yeah, I mean, we said at the top of the show, when you asked me, I think on a racetrack like this, being forward is a big advantage.
I guess so.
I mean, there's not a speck of dirt, on his chest, right? Not even a little bit. He's just wide, he's clear as he can be, and I think that goes a long way to suggest that, like, you want to be forward in these spots, and he absolutely was, and it made the difference.
And you could see this coming, rounding the far turn, while other horses, the jockeys, were having to encourage Richie, and Gunnet was still in hand.
Yeah, he was on cruise control. His rider was allowing him to stretch his legs, but he wasn't asking him to stretch his legs. And everybody behind him was off the bridle, chasing the 10-horse who I liked, Classic Legacy. He kept grinding, but never threatened. Gunnett was just best today.
Absolutely.
Far from perfect. The mechanics in the stretch, the wandering was on the wrong lead, the left lead, but none of it mattered in the end. 16-1 outsider Gunnett in the 7th at the Big A. When we come back, it's like the 347th running of the Queens County. Just the 120th. Law professor, defending champ. Can he become the first back-to-back winner since the 50s? Not if Tabawash has his way, arrives with momentum for strong connections. Welcome back. America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 1. Maybe you're just joining us, just tuning in, don't have past performances, want to play the races. Equibase has you covered. Visit NYRA.com/TV schedule to download your free PPs on all the races on today's show. No catching, Gunnett. No other speed, no pressure. Gunnett takes full advantage.
I mean, a perfect example of it's not how fast you're going, it's how you're going fast. When you get comfortable like that, especially in off going, everybody else is struggling, chasing you from off the pace. And I will tell you, I'm not as familiar with the rider, Sahin Shivachi. I've seen his statistics from up north. I like the way he finishes Lafitte. Very tight on a horse, together, held his horse together, well balanced. You know, for a horse that was being a bit erratic through the lane, but he kept the bridle up in his mouth and a nice, strong hand ride.
Keeps doing that. We're going to become familiar real quick.
You see the 7 right here finish third. This is a horse that could have been on the pace, which could have changed the entire outlook of the race, where Gunnett wouldn't have had that kind of comfortable lead. Ridgewood Runner did not find himself there. It's also an impossible name to say. Ridgewood
Runner. What's the horse's name that I can't say it? Proprietary trade.
Proprietary
like
trade.
like a C-, and it's not getting any better. We march forward. Final stakes race on the NYRA circuit. 2024 120th running of the Queens County. Several defections. The early favorite, instant coffee at 9 to 5. Post time in 10. Check that 20 minutes. Richie, law professor here, the defending champ, trying to join like a very, very exclusive list given the history of the Queens County.
And there is a rich history to this Queens County. Only 2 other horses, right, to win back-to-back runnings of it, and you've got to go back over 70 years to find the last one. But, you know, stables like Rancocas, trainers like Sam Hildreth, horses like Zev, who's in the Hall of Fame, have won this race. Eddie Maple, the winningest jockey in the history of the race with 5. I think this is a race that has so much history that I hope it never goes away.
And the Queens County and JK, yeah, the gamblers, they're not worried about the history or the sentiment. What jumped out at you handicapping the race, especially after all the scratches?
Yeah, I mean, I think that no matter how you look at the race and how it unfolds, it feels like Law Professor is going to end up working out a great trip. Law Professor always finds a way, because he's tactical, to get into a good position, and he's done that consistently. And even if you like a horse like the 11 towards the outside at 5-2, or other horses, you know for sure that Law Professor is going to work out a trip, and that is comforting when you're taking a horse at even money.
Some horses create their own luck. Law Professor is an example of just that. All right, so you have the Pick 6 carryover coming into today's activity, 29,000 plus. It got started in the 4th race. Let's get you caught up here. And wine responsibly. Great name to win the 4th race to kick off the Pick 6 here.
Yeah, and a long sustained drive on the outside, and was able to grind down a long shot that ran extremely well, JK.
Yeah, I didn't see this horse at all. Well, not at all. I mean, I saw it to a certain extent, but I felt like there was others in here that made a lot more sense. Wine Responsibly was leaving Linda Rice's barn and was looking like they were going the wrong direction, but ended up getting the job done here.
Christopher Elliott, son of Stu Elliott of Smarty Jones fame, race 4, Wine Responsibly, race number 5, and Gaga's Handsome, the winner in the slop here out there, starting to kick clear.
Horse that ran extremely well on debut, and Eddie Barker's stable's been very, very hot. I mean, it took him 5 starts to kind of find it. Sorry, his last race was his best race. That was his 4th start, not his debut.
Dylan Davis, what a year.
Been sensational. I like the one in this spot early on, who just got going a little bit late, and Gaga's Handsome is one that just kind of was knocking on the door for quite a long time in these maiden ranks, and finally breaks through.
208th win on the year for Dylan Davis. 2nd year he's led the New York Racing Association circuit in overall victories. Then in the 6th race, La Vida Sofia, the winner in the 3rd leg of the Pick 6.
And Joel Rosario still sticking around. He's usually not around this late in the year when the weather turns a little bit dicey, but a nice strong hand ride, which we come to expect from Joel for Aruba, Rudy Rodriguez.
An example of Joeling, as you like to say, JK.
Absolutely. When Joel's on, there's not anybody better, and that's an example of him. He's got a great clock in his head. I think he times things very well, and I'm not even sure. I think it's just the instincts. I think he just got a good instinctual clock.
And moments ago, the upset 16-1, gun it 34.80, really shaking things up in the sequence thus far.
Yeah, and look, I know you see those single digits with the $7 horse, $7 horse, $7 horse, but that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Those aren't singles that are winning, and then you mix in a 34-1 shot, things start to get a little bit skinnier, right? In a pool of 234,000, I think if the favorites don't win the 8th and the 9th, there's a small chance we're looking at a double, but if you're sitting on this ticket, you're sitting on a nice score.
Mandatory payout today for this Pick 6.
We're not going to be looking at a carryover. It'll just be, maybe you could be alive for 5 of 6, which is also a very nice thing to happen sometimes.
2 races left. Queens County is next. Meantime, first look at Oaklawn, canceled yesterday. The rain, the lightning. Good to go on this afternoon. It's all 2-year-olds. Every race, all 2-year-olds. 5th race, let's meet the field. And you're looking at Cash App Mike, a first of several first-time starters.
Dang, Cash App Mike, huh? Where's Venmo Mike?
Castle Gap, John Ed Anthony's debuting homebred.
Yeah, first foal out of this mare, but taking money, and that's meaningful.
War Mule, Mansfield Racing, first-time starter.
Yeah, it has got a lot of works over the racetrack, which could go a long way.
5 is next, a Save, the Starfish Stable first-time starting homebred.
Yeah, one that doesn't have a trainer with a lot of success with first-time starters, only 5%.
Cowboy Sense number 6, Sean Davis, owned and trained debuting colt.
Taking some money. I like this horse's pedigree by Golden Sense out of a mare that's had 4 foals to race, all winners, including a debut winner.
Top of the world, 16-1.
Don't let him up the rail.
Calvin Burrell. There it is. 3-time Kentucky Derby winning jockey. Hall of Famer. Staten Flurry's first-time starter here. Battle of the Ravine.
Yeah, this is one that is taking a little bit of money here at 9-1. Sneaky one.
And number 10, he's a superstar. 23-1. Long shots side by side. The 11, Big Country Boy.
Was 57-1 on debut and ran like it.
Be a surprise, then a contender towards the outside in Boat, one of 2, along with Big Country Boy with experience.
Ran well on debut at Delta Downs, now gets back to racing against Arkansas breds.
And my Russian towards the outside with Kelsey Haar.
Yeah, broke from the gate last time in that work. Will need to break well from this outside post.
These 2-year-olds, Arkansas bred maidens, $110,000 purse, 4 minutes to post. Like we said, all 2-year-olds. And the main event is the year-end stakes. Aptly named featured event at Oaklawn Park. There is the field and the morning line favorite in Glee, number 4 at 5-2. You'll Be Back, contender, 3-1. Jinkin at 7-2, also a serious threat on paper going in for the short leaf stable. John Ed Anthony. Good to see those colors on this day that is all about the future 2-year-olds today at Oaklawn Park. We have on-site coverage. Paul LaDuca standing by. Paula, yeah, exciting day at Oaklawn Park with all these 2-year-olds here. And again, really just all about the future of this particular program.
Yeah, it really is. Listen, 10 races with 2-year-olds. You know you're going to get some prices. And, you know, the feature today is the year's end, or the New Year's end as well. And it's a good race with 2-year-olds. And, you know, it's a race that I think that can go many different ways, like a lot of these 2-year-olds. But, you know, Jenkin in there really improved first time around 2 turns. And, you know, Lindsay Schultz, I've been singing her praise for so long, and I just think she's such an underrated trainer. Now, this is a filly by Mineshaft. You know, a lot of people who remember Mineshaft, he got really good at ages 4 and 5. So you would think that this horse is going to get better and better out of a Quiet American mare. So we're going back, and Quiet American, probably one of the best broodmare sires of all time. So Jenkin is definitely one of the players in the stakes race today. Now, if we're going to get to this race, we got about 3 minutes to post in here. The 12 Boat, I went up to Jerry Karoom Lafitte, and I said, is this horse named Bote, Boat, anything? He said, no, it's Boat. I go, well, at least you're dressed up to be on a boat, Jerry. If a lot of people don't know Jerry, he likes to dress up a little festive. But this is a horse that's got races to go to, at least one race. And it seems like if you do have a race under your belt, I thought it would, you know, it's been a lot of help, especially against a bunch of first-time starters. Now, this horse ran at Delta Downs first time out for Chasey Palmier DeVille. And, you know, long striding horse. The horse that won the race won off, and this horse was a clear second and kind of was laying back a little bit. Now, I don't know if, you know, he's going to be closer to the pace or not. Remains to be seen. Now, the 2 and the 3 you guys were mentioning. Now, the first-time starter for John Ortiz, the last work was very interesting. He kind of worked in between horses, and then he let the other horses break off. Now, I would think the 2 is going to show some lick from the gate, but I don't know where to go from there. And then the 3, War Mule. Now, Brett Calhoun had a first-time starter that took money yesterday that kind of fired but didn't really pan out. And, you know, that horse at 7-2 is another horse taking money. The 6 is taking money. I'm in agreement with Jonathan. Like, I landed on the 12 in here, but the 9 is a sneaky horse. You know, Kelsey Haar is a very good trainer for very good rider for Kevin Martin, and this is a sneaky horse right here, first-time starter. I think can run a little bit, but I'm going to stick with the 12, the horse that has experience. So Lafitte, Boat. Again, Jerry Karoom, you want him on your boat.
You also want experience, a big edge, that one race, and what a difference that can make. A Boat, who is 7-2, the co-favorite, pictured. We have a late scratch in Captain Amazing. First day on the job, Richie, for these 2-year-olds. It's expected. The antics, they're not professional because they haven't done this before. Loose in the post parade and a late defection before this 5th race.
Yeah, just throwing a lot of new things at them. Even though they've worked out of the starting gate and they've worked on the racetrack, now they're different atmosphere. A lot more horses going to the pony. Some of them never hooked up with a lead pony before. And we use that word pony loosely. You could see that they're horses, but on the racetrack, the terminology is they're ponies.
Not a lot of data. JK, as far as experience, only 2 have ever raced here. So as a handicapper, how are you approaching these 2-year-old maiden special weight events?
Well, it's tough. I mean, one of the things you can look at is the workouts. I care less about the time and how they did it. Sometimes you'll have workout reports. Unfortunately, at Oaklawn, you don't really get that. But, there's other places at Saratoga in the summer. You want to look at the percentages of the trainers. Is this something they do? Do they crank their horses up to run first time out? You can look at the pedigree to understand if there's horses that might have some speed in their families that comes in handy in situations like this. It's really a guessing game. It's a guessing game, and you can also look at the tote board as well to try to identify it. One thing I will say about the 12 boat is he's got experience. He's drawn well outside to stay clear. He broke slowly last time. If he could learn from that, break clear, in this one he could be dangerous.
And watch the load. Big field. These freshmen, it can be an adventure so far, behaving themselves for the most part, as War Mule with leading rider Christian Torres has emerged as the 3-1 lukewarm favorite. Arkansas-bred 2-year-olds, $110,000 purse. Matt Dinneman with the load and call post-time race 5 live from Oaklawn on Fox Sports 1.
Stubborn to go in there, but he's almost dead. Still working with War Mule. Just has to go in another few inches here, and we should be good. Now he's in. Saved. Post position 5. Saved behind the gate. Still working with Saved. He's now
all right, so the load taking a moment or two, and one that you saw who was hesitant and taking some coaxing was the actual favorite in War Mule.
Yeah, and again, these horses have been schooled in the mornings, and a lot of them will do better in the mornings. It's just a different atmosphere in the afternoons, and obviously a lot more horses to contend with.
Keep it together. Just a few more moments. One left to load. Race 5 post time. Here's Matt Dinneman.
Kelsey Hard to complete the line of 11. We're ready to go. And let off. Cash App Mike was a little bit slow from the inside post. Castle Gap is asked for speed with War Mule. These two step on the gas. Here comes Big Country Boy to be part of the action, and Big Country Boy has the lead by a neck from the gray War Mule, and Castle Gap eases off of them, runs in third with My Russian as they head down the backstretch. Then Cowboy Sense right behind the leaders, a little bit keen down on the inside, but he's pinned in. Boat just passed him, and Saved is also alongside within 6 lengths of the lead. Gap of 4 to Cash App Mike, the slow starter with He's a Superstar. Battle of the Ravine is second to last, and Top of the World is at the back of the field. They round the far turn. Big Country Boy and Richard Aramia, 5/16 to go, a half length in front. On the outside, My Russian sent hard. Boat is 3 deep on the course, attempting to advance position, and then War Mule, who's backed away to 4th. Castle Gap needs to pick it up. Right behind the leaders, coming to the top of the lane. Big Country Boy down the lane, still with a narrow lead on the outside. Boat's right up alongside. Inside, War Mule's coming right back, and War Mule and Boat are together. Castle Gap right behind them in third, 16th to go, and War Mule has been stubborn today. War Mule inside of Boat. These two head and head, and it's going to be tight. And another photo. Boy, it got really tight. Boat and War Mule on the line together with Castle Gap 2 lengths behind in third. My Russian was 4th.
Arkansas-bred 2-year-olds throwing it down. Thriller, War Mule, inside, Boat, outside. Who got it?
I'm going to give it to the inside, the 3, but it's a funny angle, so I don't want to go too far out on a limb. But look at the demeanor of the gray horse, War Mule.
Digging.
This horse did not want to get past. Ears pinned, had his eye kind of eyeballing the outside horse, giving him that evil eye. This was as game a first-time performance as you're going to see, and fought a very game horse in the 12 boat who had that experience.
I'm going to make Paul proud here. I'm going to call this a dead heat.
You're calling it dead heat. Heads bobbing. I thought in real time War Mule inside. Again, the angle can be tricky. Boat, late surge. And as soon as we have the results of that photo, we'll pass that along. We have the Queens County coming up, but I mean, Paula Duke is on site. You never miss with these photos, Paulie.
Yeah, the inside always gets the advantage, guys, and they put it up, 312. And it's so deceiving. Like, you thought the 12 might have got his nose down, but it's the 3, good call there by Mig, because he knows that inside bias is really tough. 312-2 here. Boat tried as much as he can. And another thing I want to focus to you guys, that was a heck of a ride. The rail has been good. They ran one race in 109, one race in 111. So this racetrack is playing fast. Great ride by Christian Torres made the difference.
Results forthcoming, Paulie. Back here in New York, featured Queens County is next. Mile and an eighth, $150,000 purse. Current favorite, 6-5. Law Professor looking to go back to back. Let's meet the field as they hit the track just moments ago. And a 6-1 shot to kick things off. Instant Coffee pictured here, considered a serious Derby contender last year.
And a big effort in his last start. He was extremely wide, and he came with a relentless rally.
Curbstone back to the main track.
Well, once upon a time, this horse had a nice little dirt race. Could be interesting here.
Phileas Fogg, great name, sharp, speedy gelding.
And this horse is the now horse to me, in great form, handles off going, and has speed.
Law Professor, defending champ, 6-5 favorite.
Just always seems to work out a great trip.
Unlimited potential stakes debut for this $750,000 purchase.
He's going to have to step up, but has thrown some races that actually would be competitive here.
Tabawash, contender on the outside, just won for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, it's drawn well in this situation here, but at a price that's so close to the 7, who I like more, I got to go with the 7.
Law Professor, 6-5. Maggie's been watching this crew from the paddock, and Maggie, you know them well. What caught your eye?
Yeah, Law Professor Lafitte's one of those odd horses that literally looks different. I feel like every single time he's led over to the paddock. But ultimately, that never seems to matter. He just always usually runs his race, and he's certainly a horse that can handle the off-going, having 3 wins out of 5 tries over it, and looks to be warming up well. Now, the reason I say he looks different is because last time I thought he maybe looked a little bit soft, just slightly coming in off the bench, but great coat to him. Had a fairly quiet warm-up, which he's getting here again today. Nothing, exuberant, but that's just him. And sometimes he would get hot. Well, he wasn't hot last time. He's not hot this time, but his coat's kind of gone the wrong way. But on the other hand, he looks a lot more fit. So I appreciate that. Looks as though, despite skipping a race in between this one and the one before, he hasn't lost a bit of fitness, and he is ready to go. So a horse that also seems to run this similar type of races, but often finds himself second or third best, is number 11, Tabawash. Now, what's interesting about this guy is that first 3 starts of his career, he rattled off 3 wins in a row. Then he had to go to the sidelines for a bit, and then it took him a really long time, over a year, to find his way back to the winner's circle. And yes, of course, that very much could be the competition he was facing, but also looking at him today, I've never seen him look this bright, this happy looking, this, as he cooks back over the pony, kind of nipping at him there. He's just feeling himself, and he's usually really, really quiet in the prelims. So I'm wondering if that win kind of got him back in the fighting spirit of things. So I think he definitely deserves, honestly, the money that he's taking, because he looks better than ever. As number 4, Phileas Fogg would likely be playing Catch Me If You Can, especially with the horse to his outside being the other pace presence in Unlimited Potential, as that horse is very sharp too. So his job's not made that much easier. And I'll say this about Phileas Fogg is that his 2 wins off the claim were won on tracks that were highly tilted to inside speed, which he was. That still makes him dangerous yet again here, but I do feel as though that outside horse will be breathing down his neck. And who knows, maybe Curbstone, they get aggressive with him with Matty Oliver back aboard. I thought he had lost some conditioning. He didn't look as strong as what I saw from him over the summer, but he does look fit. He looks fine overall. But guys, what are your thoughts about Phileas Fogg? I know, Mig, you were very intrigued with him. Does he just lead this field in the Queens County on a merry chase?
Well, I think you called it right, though. The 8 unlimited potential holds the key to this race. If he goes all out to try to make the lead, then it's going to hurt Phileas Fogg's chances. Although Phileas Fogg can be effective from just off the pace, I do think he would be better and have a stronger chance down than if he was able to control things.
Yeah, I mean, you would think they would be aggressive, but in a situation in which Phileas Fogg works out a good trip, like say Phileas Fogg breaks, gets comfortable on the front end, and is walking the dog, Law Professor is the type of horse that always gets his trip. He's just a horse that works out a great trip. And so if Phileas Fogg is out there, walking the dog on the front end, Law Professor is going to be sitting right there, walking the dog right with him. It's just hard for me to get away from the 7 because he always shows up and he always gets a good trip.
Does he need an easy lead in order to win this Queens County, Phileas Fogg?
I don't think he needs an easy lead, but I'm sure it would be helpful. It would be a benefit if he got it. But if he winds up laying second in the clear, I think that Romero Mirage has to open up a little bit at some point and try to put some distance between him and Law Professor. I don't think he wants Law Professor on top of him at the 3/16 pole. He's not going to outfinish him then.
Law Professor, 4-5, the odds-on favorite, Queens County, and he hadn't raced in about 6 months, and I can't imagine it would. I don't think it'll be a problem today, but one thing we noticed in his comeback race early on, he was fresh and aggressive and really pulling at Kendrick Carmouche. He wound up winning.
Right.
But he was expending some energy early on.
Yeah, you would like to see him do it right a little bit more settled and use himself a bit more efficiently. Even though he's had a little bit of time since his last race, I don't think he'll be quite as fresh as he was that day. That was a longer layoff.
And Tabawash towards the outside, who Maggie said was he looked the part and maybe perhaps tipping his hand in terms of how he's about to perform in this Queens County. What's the key to success for him today?
Well, he'd like to see a little pace on, and he's a horse that's not slow. I think he gets a good stalking trip. I'm sure he and Law Professor are going to be playing a little bit of cat and mouse.
Law Professor trying to become just the 3rd ever back-to-back winner of the Queens County and the 1st since 1950. It's post time. 120th running of the Queens County Live from Aqueduct. Here's Chris Griffin.
And they're off. Good speed from Phileas Fogg. Law Professor's in the early mix, and there's unlimited potential. Tabawatch is going to now cross over in behind these rivals, is drifting out well off the rail was Phileas Fogg. That's going to drift out. Unlimited potential. They're 1-2, head and head into that turn together. In behind them is another pair. That's Tabawatch, who's to the outside of Law Professor, comfortable enough. Well, we're in 3rd and 4th. It's another 3. Back to Instant Coffee and the early trailer, Curbstone. They travel as a pair here to the backstretch, 23 and 3 for a pressured opening quarter mile. Phileas Fogg and Unlimited Potential, they go at it. These two are nose to nose, head and head, back and forth. And here comes Law Professor towards the inside as they're with Tabawatch. They're still 3rd and 4th. Curbstone makes an early move here in the green cap, and Curbstone's got some forward momentum now. And Instant Coffee gets the cue as well. Very tightly bunched here as they went 47 and 3 for a half-mile time. The leader is Phileas Fogg. Phileas Fogg with a nose in front continues to be chased by Unlimited Potential. Law Professor saving ground towards the inside with less than a half mile to go. Tabawatch is in between horses. Curbstone with a 4-wide run. Instant Coffee is the trailer, only 2.5 off the lead, and it's Phileas Fogg trying to run them off their feet right now. Law Professor is going to save ground all the way around the racetrack, and here comes Law Professor off the rail. Law Professor is in pursuit. Phileas Fogg looks to have a lot of run still, though. 112 flat for 3/4 of a mile. It's Phileas Fogg and Romero Mirage. They're trying to sprint away from the field, and they're doing just that. Law Professor continues to chase Curbstone down the center of the racetrack, but Phileas Fogg is opening up here on the field. Inside the final furlong, ducks down towards the rail, but Phileas Fogg is way out in front. Inside the final 16th, Romero Mirage and Phileas Fogg, they win the Queens County in dominating fashion. Curbstone 2nd, then came Law Professor and Instant Coffee in 1 minute 51.48 seconds.
running them off their feet in this Queens County. Phileas Fogg splashing his way to a front-running score and takes down this $150,000 Queens County at Aqueduct.
He went right to the lead under a hustling Romero Mirage. Loved the going and just had plenty left when Law Professor made his run, who worked out a good trip. Curbstone came with that relentless, long, grinding run. A nice effort from him, but Phileas Fogg was just best on the day.
Absolutely, and it wasn't, I don't care how slow they went, it wasn't an easy trip. He had unlimited potential to his outside, staring him around, staring him in the eyes all the way around there.
And you can see Romero Mirage in the blue cap, right? He hustled along, tapped him on the shoulder with the crop. He looked to his right to see where unlimited potential was, and then he floated him out into the first turn, trying to discourage him from putting too much pressure. He was on him, but he was traveling well. He got a little bit kind of off his focus a little bit here. You can see he's going to jump back to his left lead there, and then Romero's going to get after him. He's going to jump back to his right lead, but he had plenty of distance on the field and just kept finding, and a nice win for Romero Mirage, who's gaining a lot of momentum heading into this winter, and with the likes of Dylan Davis leaving for the winter, going to open up more business. This is a big win for him and something to build on.
It has to be a great feeling, young rider, winning a stakes race here at Aqueduct and just running up the score and knowing that you're on a horse that it's only be a question of how far he wins that race.
Yeah, but you know, it's funny. You're not fitted with a rear view mirror, so you have a tendency, especially when you're not winning these kind of races with regularity, to ride a little bit harder than you should. But Romero's a good finisher, and that was a real nice heads-up hustling ride.
Took it to him, and as JK mentioned, some pressure, shrugged off any challengers, and won by daylight. Phileas Fogg, Jupiter Stable, Gustavo Rodriguez, Romero Mirage in the Queens County. When we come back, 20 years since the Smarty Party, Smarty Jones, you know the story, so close to Triple Crown glory, and his rider is back at Oaklawn Park. Stuart Elliott rides a pair of 2-year-olds today, always looking for that next superstar.
Down, get in, 350. Here we go. 3 here, 50, down 4, 8.5, in the back. 1,400,000 stands way in the back. Thank you.
1,000,005, and 1,006, $150,000, $1,550,000 and a half. $1,500,000. Jody, thank you.
Please hold your applause.
Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
This is my Oaklawn.
Welcome back. America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 1 is always brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get started. Queens County, Unisphere, Richie.
That was where the old World's Fair was at one time in the 60s, and actually used to take ponies there for pony rides.
More, geography and history with Richard Migliori. Story time with Uncle Richie. Best part of the broadcast, each and every broadcast. Winner Circle Lead-In, brought to you by Phasic Tipton Digital. North America's #1 digital platform for thoroughbreds. Learn more at digital shop.phasictipton.com. To Maggie in the winner's circle.
Here with winning rider Romero Mirage. And Romero, it's been quite a December for you, winning 3 stakes, including this one, Phileas Fogg. Talk a little bit about early on. Got some pressure, but my man Phileas Fogg was right underneath of you the whole way.
Yeah. When I read the program prior, I saw that the speed was going to be outside, so I didn't want to drop over to the rail right away and lose my position. So I made sure to hold my position. If somebody wanted to lead, they would have to work very hard for it because I know how much speed my horse had. And plan B was to just sit off if anybody went, but thankfully we got to control the speed, and he's a nice horse. So I knew once I made the lead and he was in his rhythm, I was pretty confident there.
It was a pretty tactical move, staying out in the middle of the racetrack. Talk a little bit about why riders will do that, especially in these 2-turn races.
It just depends on how the race sets up. I think in every race, I've learned every great rider takes advantage of their post position. So if I was on the outside, I probably would have came down faster. But on the inside, with the speed being outside, I wanted to be the lead. So I made sure to just stay out to where if somebody wanted the lead, they would have to work very hard for it. So that's one of the main things, just seeing your post position and just taking advantage of it, whether you have the inside, outside, or the middle.
Every great rider, you mean your cousin, Rajiv, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, congratulations. What a huge month it's been for you. Congrats.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Maggie.
All right, Romero Mirage getting his picture taken left, right, and center in these stake races here at the Big A, Lafitte.
Closing out 2024 with a bang. Romero Mirage, Phileas Fogg by several. We focused on Law Professor pre-race, he tried to defend his title unsuccessfully in the Queens County. Any excuses? What went wrong today?
I thought he had a pretty good trip. I mean, he was in behind in the pocket. He followed Phileas Fogg and just kind of flattened out a bit late. Curbstone kept grinding, but I didn't see any visible excuse, JK.
No, he didn't do it. He didn't do his thing. He's the type of horse that when he runs his race, if he would have run his race today, he would have won. He did not run his race. He just didn't. That was not the real Law Professor, but that's horse racing, right? They don't always just show up every day, and they're not machines, that's for sure.
Not machines. Look forward to seeing Law Professor resurface before long. Phileas Fogg making it look all too easy in the Queens County. Pick 6 with the carryover. Phileas Fogg 980, 1 left. Final race on the NYRA circuit of the year. Coming up next, race number 9 in about 17 minutes.
3, 4, 5, and 7. 3, 4, 5, and 7 are the only horses covered. Excuse me, that aren't paying 5 or 6.
Right.
That aren't paying 5 or 6.
Mandatory.
Those will pay 5 or 6. The rest of them are some nice big pops there, 50, 60,000.
We'll have that 9th race for you. 17 minutes out back at Oaklawn. Guess what? More 2-year-olds. Field updated odds. Maiden special weight 2-year-old fillies, mile and a 16th. We'll meet the field shortly. Just hitting the track. Queen Jubilee, 3-1. Richie, also Poppyland in her 3rd career start, the 3-1 lukewarm favorite for John Ortiz.
Yeah, interesting that she started her career going 2 turns, right? Just steady diet of mile and a 16th races and a little bit of improvement from the debut to the 2nd start.
Cardo Santana to ride. John Ed Anthony, homebred, Poppyland. Queen Jubilee, that cozy inside post, JK, a threat on paper anyhow.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about that cozy inside post. This horse has been wide in all 3 of her first starts throughout her career. This is going to be the first time she's been within a couple of lengths of being towards the inside. So we'll see how she reacts to it. She might appreciate it more than the ground that she's lost.
$110,000 purse, on average $950,000 a day at Oaklawn Park, hence the big fields. You offer that kind of money, those kinds of purses, and they're gonna show up to race. Let's meet the field. Another look at Queen Jubilee, who does figure to be prominent early.
Yeah, you would like to think she'll be prominent from the inside. She ran well last time with some early speed, but she's been wide in all of her starts.
Illegal Empress did make the lead in her lone dirt effort.
Yeah, I thought that was a step forward for this daughter of Tiz the Law, getting to the dirt for the first time.
Break the Law and Stuart Elliott on the Winchell Thoroughbred first-time starter.
And you get Steve Asmussen here, who's 16% out of 4,212 first-time starters.
Poppyland, 1 geared in her first pair.
Yeah, and listen, she took no money on debut, and the fact that they started her long tells me she's a bit one-paced.
Lobby Rendezvous, lots of room to improve.
Lots of room. No early speed in any of her starts and no money in any of her starts either.
Jetpack 31-1, 2 sprints now the stretch out.
Yeah, was favored on debut, so obviously this horse had shown ability in the morning trials.
Trading Secrets, number 7. A cool story here. And Tyler Bacon riding for D. Wayne Lucas. They already teamed up for a win today.
Yeah, just doesn't have a lot of early speed and hasn't really been bet very much in any of the starts.
Number 9, Good Game. Leading rider Christian Torres. Torres looking to go back-to-back.
First rate. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're right. Christian, he's an aggressive rider that comes in handy in races like this.
Princess M2, first race around 2 turns. Then Necessity, dirt debut after 2 turf races.
Yeah, 2 turf races where they were bet, which makes me think that they probably want the turf. Unfortunately, you'd have to talk to management to see if you could run on that little infield on the grass.
Kind of throws you off when you see the gate in there sometimes. I mean, that's what it would look like, right? 2-year-old fillies in the 6th-race Oaklawn. Started the late pick 5, post time in 6 minutes. Paulie, it does bring back memories, doesn't it? Seeing Stuart Elliott out at Oaklawn Park, pilot of Smarty Jones, won that Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn, and riding a couple of 2-year-old fillies here today, both for Steve Asmussen, including it, a little bit later on in the Years End Stakes aboard Glee, a major contender.
Yeah, and that's the reason why he's here to ride. He actually looked right at me. He said, hey, I haven't seen you in a long while. And he's obviously going to ride the horse here for a win show. But when you look at Glee, this is a horse that won off by about 16.5 lengths last time out at Remington Park, and or 10 3/4 lengths, but it was 20 cents on the dollar. You know, that was the first time around 2 turns. And, you know, a horse that has had some sloppy or some muddy experience that was going short. You know, when you look at this horse, when he hit the top of the stretch, she just got better. Now, I remember, I think it was 2 days ago or yesterday, my man Jonathan Kinchin was saying, hey, listen, Honor Code got better when he got a little bit older. Can Glee get a little bit better as she gets older? I like her in this spot. I don't know if she's the one to beat. She probably is the one to beat, but I don't know if she's the one to bet, put it that way. But Stewart's in town definitely to ride that horse. But let's get to this race. He's in town, obviously, to ride the 3 in here, Legal Empress, and a horse right now that is about 9-1 in here and is taking a little bit of money. You know, a lot of the money's gone to the John Ortiz runner, the 4 in here, who I've reportedly they like here with Ricardo Santana. I will tell you this, though. When you look at this race, and I keep looking at this race, all these horses were not bet at all. First time out, second time out. None of these horses took money besides the 11, and that, like Jonathan said, was a turf race. And for me, the best turned out horse in here was the Lucas horse. Blinkers go on. He finally gets his first win. Innovator won a little bit earlier. He actually won by about a nostril, but he got the job done. Did Innovator. So D. Wayne Lucas got off the schneid. He got his win. I have a feeling this 7 might run a big race. I just like the way the horse looked on the racetrack. There's nothing to go with a lot of these horses, like I said, because a lot of these horses were big prices. We'll see what happens today. I'll take a shot.
Paulie with Trading Secrets at 14-1, and what that must have been like earlier today, Richie, for Tyler Bacon, who's 17 years old and winning a race for D. Wayne Lucas, an absolute legend. Only 72-year discrepancy between jockey and trainer.
Was that all? You know, just to get an opportunity to ride for him is a big deal for a young rider, and it opens up other trainers' eyes. If somebody of his stature gives a young man a chance, they're more likely to give that person a chance as well. And then to win for him, obviously he's got to be thrilled.
Meg, who was yours? I know you have a steel trap for a memory. Who was your apprentice opportunity to win a race for that you went home that night and smiled yourself to sleep?
Well, the fact that Steve DeMoro, who's coming off of years of having horses like Wadraman, Dealey Precious, winning the Eclipse Award, put me under contract when I was 15 years old, gave me instant credibility, helped me along. But the first time I won a race for Mac Miller, Rokeby Stable, Paul Mellon, I felt like that was a big deal. I was in those colors. I felt like I was important.
I remember a moment the summer before last at Saratoga, never mind what Sees the Gray wound up doing later and winning the Preakness, but he broke his maiden in his career debut on it was Jim Dandy Day. It was raining, a wet track, and Jamie Torres rode him for D. Wayne Lucas, and I remember him telling Maggie after the race when he saw he was going to ride for Wayne Lucas, he's like, I didn't sleep last night knowing I was going to ride for the coach.
Yeah. No, it's a big deal, and then especially when I was younger in New York, riding in the Phipps colors, right, the black, you felt different walking to the paddock. Like man, I kind of made it, right? Like that's what the feeling was.
It's like the first time Jonathan worked with me.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
You know what? It was cold, but yes, very similar. No, I would think that Wayne is kind of fallen in love with that feeling of kind of giving someone their start, right? You look across these Eclipse Award-winning trainers, and you look at these Classic-winning trainers and champion trainers. There's a lot of them that worked for Wayne before they became who they were. Whether it was a George Weaver, or a Mike Maker, a Todd Pletcher, a Dallas Stewart, a Keir McLaughlin, they all were under him. And I think that there's something about that. I think he, having as much success he's had in this game, I think that he's enjoying passing it on to others, including riders.
That's a great story last spring, watching Keith Asmussen riding in the Kentucky Oaks and Derby for Wayne Lucas.
Well, particularly with the family history between, the Asmussen family and Wayne, his grandfather, who he's named after, Keith, riding quarter horse winners for Wayne Lucas before Wayne even started to train thoroughbreds.
Tyler Bacon, already one win today for D. Wayne Lucas, Trading Secrets, 11-1. There you're looking at Queen Jubilee, and as J.K. mentioned, look, it's the post position, it's race shape, and with the inside draw today, and with her tactical speed, should be in a good spot to maximize potential and potentially graduate in what will be her fourth start.
Great post position, right?
Yeah, it's just going to be different from this situation. You know what I mean? She's been wide all the way around there, and I mean wide all the way around there in all three of her starts. And now we'll see how she reacts to being down on the inside and being able to save some ground. And all of her starts have been a mile or beyond, too. So maybe that saving some ground will make the difference for her, because she's basically like she's ran a mile and an eighth in every start she's been in.
There she is, Queen Jubilee. Right behind her, Necessity, number 11, Ramon Vasquez, Mig, who has impressed you. We had a chance to see more of him at Saratoga last summer, but a difficult assignment here. How can he win from the outside 10 post?
You got to come out trying to get position, right? Get your position going forward, and then hope that there's a gap between flights of horses someplace. It's a very tall task, and certainly a lot of luck is going to play a factor.
Talking about Necessity, number 11, 5-1. Another look at Queen Jubilee. JK to the inside of Necessity. Princess M2. First time. Trainer Phil D'Amato. Powerhouse stable out in Southern California. First time he's had a stable at Oaklawn Park. Princess M2, at least trying something new today. It's been a couple of sprints. This will be the first time she's ever raced around two turns at a farther distance.
Yeah, she ran fine last time. I do wish that she showed a little bit more early speed. I'm not one of those that just thinks that a horse who's finishing their races automatically wants extra ground. I don't think that's the automatic there. But she definitely deserves a look in here. Like you mentioned, Phil D'Amato wins a lot of races out in California, and I'm sure he'll do the same thing here at Oaklawn.
Horse we shouldn't sleep on, I believe, is the 9 Good Game from the Rudy Brissett barn. This horse actually ran much better on debut than the form might appear. Broke a bit slow, had to take kickback, and I thought was kind of staying on. That leads me to believe a mile and a 16th would be beneficial.
Two-time Oaklawn champion jockey Christian Torres looking to go back-to-back. Won the fifth race by inches. See how he fares with Good Game. Wide open, this 2-year-old maiden special weight event. Poppyland emerging as the favorite. She's finishing has been the issue, but just 2 starts. So we'll see if she's able to really turn it on when the real running starts. Out to Matt Dinnerman with the load-in call. Post time, race 6, Oaklawn live on Fox Sports 1.
Post 5. Then Princess M2. And Necessity to the outside. One back, that's Necessity. We're ready to go. And they're off. Necessity bobbled badly at the start, and Ramon Vasquez did a great job just to stay on, but she's hopelessly last in the early stages. Legal Empress to the front at once with Queen Jubilee, who's a little bit keen. The rail's open for her and comes forward to challenge Legal Empress on the front end. Legal Empress takes a hold. Queen Jubilee strides out. Still keen, leads by 3/4 of a length from Legal Empress. Poppyland in the third position. Jetpack is alongside of her. Then Princess M2 trading secrets to the inside, approaching the backstretch run. Good game between horses, is now running 5 or 6 lengths off the pace, and a big space back to Necessity, who's the trailer after the bad beginning. They're down the backstretch. Queen Jubilee and Rafael Bejarano lead the way. A half length in front of Legal Empress. Jetpack is 3 deep. Princess M2 tugs her way into the 4th position with Poppyland. Lobby Rendezvous racing alone now, 5 lengths off the pace. Another length to Break the Law, who's lost position. Trading secrets alongside of her. Good game, second to last, and a huge gap to Necessity, who's not being persevered with at the back. They round the forward turn. Legal Empress turning up the pressure, takes the lead. Queen Jubilee attempting to stick to her, and these two are locking horns around the turn. Princess M2 sent along from third, gaining ground in the 3 path, and Poppyland is following her move. She's going to be caught deep, turning for home. Top of the stretch, Queen Jubilee, and on the outside, Legal Empress. Legal Empress with a head in front of Queen Jubilee, who's sticking to the task. Legal Empress starts to inch away. Queen Jubilee fighting, though. She's coming back from the inside. Legal Empress asked to finish. A neck in front. Queen Jubilee is as game as the day is long on the rail. Legal Empress, Queen Jubilee, head and head. Look at Queen Jubilee fighting tenaciously. Legal Empress still with a head in front, and Legal Empress wins it. Legal Empress out-finishing Queen Jubilee, who ran her heart out in second. Poppyland was third, and Necessity came from well behind and galloped out huge. Look for her next time.
Another thrilling finish among the 2-year-olds at Oaklawn. This time it's Legal Empress finally putting away Queen Jubilee, stubborn Queen Jubilee in the 6th at Oaklawn Park. We'll pass along results when we have a moment. We have to move back to Aqueduct for the final race of 2024. Post-parade here for this New York-bred maiden affair, $30,000 maiden claimers. There's Majulu and Dylan Davis, the 3-1 lukewarm favorite.
Yeah, based on the way this horse ran last time, I think he'll appreciate cutting back to the 6 furlongs.
Better be smart. Back to dirt. Class drop.
Class drop, is that the key? The turf races were better than her dirt races.
One good race and the lone first-time starter.
Yeah, he gets in here for Tom Morley. Tom doesn't really have his horses cranked first time out. He's more of a down the road, 6% with first-time starters.
Ready to romance, 89-1 in her debut, and beat one horse.
He's going to have to just improve dramatically on the drop-down.
Gorgeous Step and Hawk, 24-race maiden. Does have tactical speed.
It's a very pretty horse, Lafitte.
Isn't she? Say something positive. I'm kidding. Number 6, one race since her debut 7 months ago.
Yeah, and chased a very, very fast pace and caved in. Drops in class, a player.
Moving quickly again, Mia Nipotina with Eric Cancel, then the 9, Naughty Destiny.
Yeah, adds the blinkers and ran okay last time. We'll see if this horse can make one more step forward for Bill Morey after the claim.
Miss Uproar could be a big afternoon, Jockey Romero Mirage.
Yeah, this horse ran extremely well last time on the grass, but does have some back dirt races, which makes me feel like this horse is probably doing the best that she ever has, and she's got to find that dirt race from back in 2023.
The field for this 9th and final at Aqueduct, New York-bred maidens, 6 furlong sprint, fillies and mares, post time 2 minutes. Maggie is trackside. Maggie better be smart. Will this finally be the one? Will she graduate in her 9th career start?
The eternal question. I know, lucky number 9, maybe. We'll see. I don't think she is necessarily built like a turf horse. So finding herself in a maiden claimer on the dirt for the first time makes her, I think, a very logical and strong contender. And well, I have no problems with Majulu. You look at the body of work, especially her first 2 races from Better Be Smart on the main track, and I'm sorry, but that's just better than I think than what Majulu has done. So I'd much rather take her at 5-1 than 3-1 on the aforementioned runner. On the outside is number 11, Miss Uproar. I like her in here for the simple fact that, yes, she's had her chances. She's a 4, about to be 5-year-old maiden, but Fernando Abreu does an excellent job, and she's only had 2 tries on the dirt, and they were as an early 3-year-old and against arguably better company, against open company, one time against boys and one time in a maiden special weight. So she is very, very fit in here. The only, hold on, there's a horse being scratched. We're scratching number 4, I believe, Ready to Romance. Chris Griffin trying to listen to him over the PA while a plane flies overhead. Being so close to JFK is something that you got to deal with here. But Miss Uproar, I just wish she got a little bit more of a warm-up. You know, she never really got out of a trot to slow canter over to the starting gate. So we'll see how she does today. And then the horse taking some sneaky money is number 6. That is I'm Kidding, a horse that really caught my eye for the fact that she is enormous. She's very, very tall, but Chris Gore is a trainer who does pack the conditioning on his horses a lot of times, so they often will give the appearance and often run like they need a start. Not the case with I'm Kidding. She looks fit. She looks ready to go. I think she's very, very dangerous in here, considering the money that she's been taking throughout the wagering, Lafitte.
Debuted back in May, 7 months off since, but live on the board, I'm Kidding, and in her second start, yeah, the added distance she'll tackle being by Practical Joke.
Yeah, I was in the paddock the day she ran back on debut, and she was under a hard chase against 2 very fast fillies, and then she caved in. Now she gets class relief, she gets Jose Lascano, and in a group that I think is crying out for somebody that isn't exposed, she's the one I want.
She's the one.
8-1. She was bet though that day.
Yep.
She was bet. It wasn't just a light 8-1. She was bet in that situation. I'm a big fan of the 2 in here. I think the 2 is going to be tough to beat. I think if you look deep into the past performances, you'll see a couple dirt races that stand out in here. And getting back to the dirt, I'm just hopeful that she runs back to those. I think she'll be tough here.
At this level, you can poke holes. They're all flawed to some capacity. Majulu, the favorite, though, was in just a great trip, such a perfect spot, and had absolutely no punch whatsoever in her last.
She's up against it to me.
And the favorite.
I agree.
She's a favorite. Filing in. One final time. Final race on the NYRA Circuit 2024. Chris Griffin with the load and call post-time race 9 from the Big A on Fox Sports 1.
I'm Kidding. And Majulu. Majulu steps forward and in. All set. And they're off. Good speed from the inside. Hard scent was Better Be Smart, but others are quicker. Here's I'm Kidding from in between horses. Now puts ahead in front of Naughty Destiny, tracking from second. Outwider Majulu's in the purple cap has taken third. Just in behind them is going to be Miss Uproar, who's stalking the pace setters from fourth. The front 4 are now 5 lengths clear here. From down towards the inside, Better Be Smart. Rally coming from Step and Hawk from back end of the field with Mia Nipotina. And one way, way back there, far, far back, Lone Trailer. That's One Good Race On. They're well into the turn. They went 22 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. I'm Kidding and Majulu. These are the top 2. It's I'm Kidding to the inside, Majulu to the outside. These 2 are head and head as they approach a quarter mile left to go. Drifting out badly there was Naughty Destiny, just gets out very wide. The front 2 are still about 7 lengths clear of the rest. Majulu with every chance to run down I'm Kidding, and these 2 throw it down here for a final furlong. It's Majulu to the outside. I'm Kidding will not relent, keeps coming back on the inside. It's I'm Kidding with a rally. Majulu down to these 2 inside the final 16th. Majulu, I'm Kidding. Majulu, I'm Kidding. Majulu. Dylan Davis wins the finale. Majulu over I'm Kidding. Late rally there, Mia Nipotina, and Better Be Smart. Final running time, 1:12 and 1.
2 wins on the afternoon. Dylan Davis, 209 wins this year. Majulu, she fought today. She finished today.
Yeah, I'm Kidding. Showed very good speed and fought her all the way down to inside the 16th pole. And I just think the fitness level, the foundation that the 1A Majulu had with more recency was the difference. I'm Kidding was game, but just very tired filly the last 70 yards, and it's very fitting, isn't it, that Dylan Davis wins the final race contested on the NYRA circuit this year, considering the breakout year he's had.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it does. It's a nice little bow on the present there with Dylan having the year that he had. I didn't see this horse. They could run the race again, and I would struggle to find this horse. This horse ran extremely well in here, and the 2 of the 11, neither one of them really picked up their feet around there. But I'm Kidding, I thought ran well off of that little bit of a break.
Majulu, Dylan Davis, what a 2024, and now Florida bound for the rest of the winter. 1, 6, 7, 2. Majulu in the 9th and final will wrap it all up. We are done at Aqueduct, but much more coming your way on America's Day at the Races, all about the 2-year-olds at Oaklawn. Stay tuned. Welcome back. America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 1. Last race of 2024 here at Aqueduct, and a maiden-breaking performance. Majulu and Dylan Davis for Rob Atras.
Yes, set that good trip. She had good speed. She was right off the flank of the 6, I'm Kidding, and just kept grinding, turning back an 1/8 of a mile last time from the 7 furlongs, and gets it done. And like I said, Dylan Davis, fitting that he won the final race on the NYRA circuit this year.
Absolutely. It was impressive. I didn't see this horse in here, and for Rob Atras, who hasn't been having meet to his standards, to turn around the form of this horse is a big accomplishment.
Liana Stables, Majulu, 860 over. I'm Kidding. Mia Nipotina, 167. The pick 6 pay. Pretty formful. Pretty formful.
Yeah, it's only one weirdo in there, and it wasn't that weird. That was the most spready race, and where the 9 Gunnet won. So
at 1953,000 plus. Other than Gunnett, the rest, you had to look a little bit for Gunnett. The rest made sense.
Yeah, I think a very formful pick 6, except for Gunnett, who got loose on the lead on a track that he obviously handled well and just seemed very, very comfortable on the lead.
Absolutely. No, he handled it the right way. Popped away from there, got on the front end, and was gone after that.
A fun day of racing here at Aqueduct. We'll look back at some of the highlights in New York throughout the course of 2024, throughout the remainder of the broadcast. But first things first, going back to Oaklawn Park, more 2-year-olds, race number 7 coming up here, and kind of a cool story with the Kentucky Derby winner's little sister you'll have a chance to see in this upcoming race at Oaklawn Park. Very shortly, Mystic Dan here, who has not won since the Derby. All right, so things didn't work out in the Malibu either, but he was at his best when it counted most. And a chance to see his little sister, Yes Ma'am, number 8, currently 5-2. But for Mystic Dan, Richie, it all started at Oaklawn Park. I think he ran 5th in the Smarty Jones, right? He earned 1 point towards the Kentucky Derby, but yeah, brought his very best on the first Saturday in May, and a brilliant, brilliant ride and a historic weekend for jockey Brian Hernandez.
He winning the Oaks and the Derby in the same year and contributing an outstanding ride, slipping through very tight quarters with Mystic Dan and able to hold off Forever Young and Sierra Leone. And Sierra Leone, your Breeders' Cup Classic winner. Forever Young winning the Grade 1 in Japan yesterday or early this morning. I don't know exactly where we are time zone-wise. So this filly's worth a lot of money already, but also she's got some pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah, Derby winner's little sister, a no-pressure Yes Ma'am, trained by John Ortiz. Paul with John Ortiz moments ago.
Thanks, Lafitte. I am with the trainer here, John Ortiz, who has Yes Ma'am in here. Obviously, the half-sister to Mystic Dan. How's she been training in the morning?
She's been training really well. She's been very forward from the first day she came into our barn. My dad had her as a yearling, and she just knows her job and just been very easy to get along with.
Have you talked to Kenny at all, or is there anything that kind of, she have anything that's kind of like Mystic Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I reached out to him once in a while, and we talked real briefly, but, they're similar personalities is what I hear, and, I think she's a little stocky, little bull, and I think that she's going to have a good experience today. The track's not really favorable for me today, but, hopefully we'll get overcome that and see some talent.
She walked in here pretty good. She looks pretty good size. Phil, you think she wants to go a little bit longer, Johnny?
Yeah, eventually, for sure. Hopefully we follow in the steps of his brother. That's the goal.
Well, good luck today. And Johnny Ortiz is going to have Yes Ma'am. Got a little pressure on himself, but let's see if Yes Ma'am can handle herself.
The bar is high. Yes Ma'am, and just kind of cool to hear about how she kind of resembles Mystic Dan and kind of a similar stature and build. And this is how fans can become fans of horses very quickly, not necessarily because of this horse. We've never seen her race, but because who she's related to and the fact that Big Brother is a Kentucky Derby winner.
Yeah, and this is the mother's second foal, her first foal being Mystic Dan. So she might be one of those kind of blue hen producers. We don't know. We're going to find out a little more in a little while. I love when you hear about similarities between siblings, though, and especially when one's been as good as Mystic Dan.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, though. I mean, Mystic Dan's best race in his entire career was at 1.25 miles. This race is at 6 furlongs. Obviously, Mystic Dan was talented enough to overcome the shorter distances. We'll see how she runs. But you heard kind of in John Ortiz's interview there that we're hoping this is a good experience for her. Track doesn't really set up well for us. I think maybe they'll just try to take care of her around there, make sure she gets a good experience, and maybe she's more of a down-the-line type.
He mentioned concern about, not the track that they want, the wet track. Mystic Dan, he was just fine on a wet track. His breakout performance in the Southwest on a wet track at Oaklawn last spring. As a handicapper, though, you get a chance to take advantage of a scenario when horses like this, because of who their siblings are, often get overbet, JK.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the horse is 3-1 on the board right now, and that happens a lot. I don't think there's any secret. You talk to anyone in a random situation, and they ask about horse racing, the next question is about the Kentucky Derby. Everyone knows about the Derby. They pay attention. So when you have a situation like this, they're often overbet, just like Derby winners and Triple Crown contenders are always overbet. So I think we're seeing that a little bit now as well.
Going to be fun. Yes, ma'am. We'll see what she does in her career debut in just a moment. This 7th race coming up, Oaklawn Park. Still have the year's end a little bit later on. Exciting program all about the 2-year-olds, the future every race for freshmen today at Oaklawn Park. Make the turn, we'll meet this field. $110,000 purse, 6 furlong sprint. These 2-year-old fillies maiden special weight. Miss Martini, the current favorite, Richie, at 2-1 for Steve Asmussen's son Keith to ride this afternoon.
Yeah, nice run on debut for her.
We'll meet her. We'll see her shortly. There's B Bluff, currently 9-2, drawn inside.
Yeah, the Arkansas famous short-leaf stable. Source has some experience and has a little bit of tactical speed as well.
Now we go. First-time starter, relatively cold on the board.
Yeah, and that's important. You got to look at the board because if they're taking money, it means they've trained well.
Sister Lily, my brilliant broodmare's debuting filly.
Yeah, another one that's not taking a tremendous amount of money. I like that she had her gate work, her last gate work, 2 works back. That tells me that they like the way she broke.
Miss Martini, this makes sense. A confidence-inspiring first run.
She did. She got a nice start, nice introduction to the game. She's been training well since then. Makes a ton of sense.
Number 7, Ever Loving, Serengeti Empress team, Dr. Joel Paliti and Tom Amos.
Yeah, you got to love the family of this one. A half to world record, who was very impressive up at Saratoga. Also a half to Salivo Spritz.
How about that? Saw, yes, ma'am, those colors donned in the Kentucky Derby winner's circle. Then Pink Ruby here at 19-1.
Yeah, nice draw towards the outside, not taking much money on the board.
Now, Quick to Charm on the outside. This out. 10 and 11 both out. That is the field. 2-year-old filly, 6 furlong sprint, 7th race here. Start of the late pick 4 at Oaklawn Park. Miss Martini, 9-5, the favorite. 4 minutes out. We check in with Paul.
Yeah, and we'll start with the 5-horse in here, Lafitte, Miss Martini. Good race first time out. And talking to Steve just a minute ago, he said, listen, I thought the horse ran just the way I wanted her to run first time out. She had daughter curling. She should improve second time. And I think that's the understatement that a lot of people don't really realize. He's the winningest trainer in North America, but he's one of the best second time out. I know he's good first time out. He's even better second time out. So I can understand why the public is going there and why the horse is 9-5. Now, the other runners in here that they're getting bet are the 7 and the 8. I'll start with the 8, yes, ma'am. You heard Johnny Ortiz. It just seems like he thinks they're going to go a little bit longer. And the way I read the tea leaves is this racetrack, you can't really launch from way out of it. And obviously she's a first-time starter with a pedigree, being a half to Mystic Dan, to be able to win this race. I don't know if she's the horse to bet in this race, put it that way, maybe somewhere down the line. I do think the Ever Loving has a chance in the 1 B Bluff. I'll get back to Ever Loving. B Bluff for short leaf. I mean, Lindsay Schultz has got a shot later on today, obviously, in the year's end, especially with the horse that, this horse beat last time, come back. Jenkins came back to win just in the last race. So B Bluff is a player in here. I'm just wondering where that horse sits, but I'm going to land on the 7. And I'll tell you what, I'm starting to get sick of Tom Amos. You guys can put me on camera. This guy works for us, and I can't even get any words out of him whether his horse is live or not, or make a wager or anything. But so I took his silence as positive, reading Tom for all these years that I know him. So I'm going to go with the 7.
He sent us all a text. Says he loves the horse, Paul.
That's what I'm picking. I got the text, did you?
No, Paul, that did not happen. You're picking that up. But I will say, though, honestly, I asked Tom about this horse prior to her first start because of her relation to Salivo Spritz. And he was positive on the horse before she started. Now, obviously, she's run okay, and she needs to kind of get over the hump. But at one point, I know that he did think she could run a little bit.
Ever Loving, number 7, 7-2. Good luck, Tom. Christian Torres to ride. Wide open. But Miss Martini, who is emerging as the choice, 9-5, yeah, and just of what she did in her debut, every reason to expect improvement. Richie.
No, absolutely. Certainly from a pedigree standpoint, Carlin, who stands at, Hillendale at Alapa, to me, the spitting image of Man o' War. If you look at pictures of Man o' War online, tell me that's not the same horse. And the fact that she ran so well on debut, and Steve's horses tend to get better with a little racing.
Number 2 pictured. Now we go. First-time starter. by Hard Spun, 13-1 to her inside. Number 1, B Bluff, JK, and on a day representing the future at Oaklawn, it is great to see so much of those historic short leaf former Lob Lolly Jotted Anthony colors. B Bluff, number 1.
Yeah, and look, in these races, experience goes a long way. You'll see some first-time starters and horses like the half to Mystic Dan that'll take a bunch of money first time out because of the hope of what could be. But it doesn't always check out. It doesn't always equal that these horses are going to win first time out. And what you'll often see is horses that have experience, horses that have been around there a few times, horses that can understand how to overcome some adversity, that have been running fast enough, like the 1B Bluff. And this horse has run fast enough in the past. So I'm hopeful that with some experience, she'll be able to handle some of these others that haven't run before.
It's interesting, the narrative surrounding Mystic Dan this time last year. He would run in the Smarty Jones, I believe it was New Year's Day. He was a non-threatening 5th, if I believe, picked up that 1 point towards the Kentucky Derby. That Smarty Jones next week, we will be on site. A race that I think there's an emphasis when you really start paying attention with the 3-year-olds at Oaklawn. You're saying, okay, when the Rebel rolls around, we'll see the big guns, and certainly the Arkansas Derby. The Smarty Jones has been very productive the last few years. The last 3 years, I believe, a win Mystic Dan, a 3rd place finish, Angel of Empire, who wound up the favorite at post time for the Kentucky Derby, like a 6th place finish 3 years back. So, yeah, it's a race that I think in stature, because of horses that have emerged from the Smarty Jones in recent years, we might look at it a little bit differently this year.
Well, I think you've got to take these preps at Oaklawn very serious. It's such a good, comprehensive, steady journey towards the Kentucky Derby, right, with that Smarty Jones. And he showed a bit more speed in that Smarty Jones, and I think they found out he's a little better when he's got a target, right, a little covered up, because they rode him completely different in the Southwest, where he was down on the inside but off the pace, and then he slipped through and ran so big. And obviously a horse that showed that he's got a lot of guts, because he was not afraid to come through narrow gaps.
The Kentucky Derby felt like a carbon copy of the Southwest.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he slipped through. When you see the hind end shot, the Stewart shot,
amazing.
He came through the eye of a needle.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a program like the half or 3-year-olds, you get folks that want to kind of give some continuity to their horses, so they want to get started at a race like the Smarty Jones. But the other thing that makes it interesting is that the big guns, whether it be from New York or Florida or California, start to show up for the Rebel, start to show up for the Arkansas Derby. And it's a nice kind of melting pot of horses that have been there and new horses that makes for great racing.
Smarty Jones, Southwest, Rebel, Arkansas Derby, $4 million this year.
They'll show up for that.
$4 million on the 3-year-old prep race series at Oaklawn Park. Again, we'll be on site, of course, next Saturday for the Smarty Jones. First things first, this 7th race here, 2-year-old filly sprinting 6 furlongs. What will Mystic Dan's little sister do? Number 8, Yes Ma'am. It's post time.
And we're off. B Bluff was a little bit slow to go. Miss Martini put into play at once. Now we go from the inside pressing and moves up to challenge that front runner. Yes, ma'am, right off of them in the 3rd position, and Pink Ruby to the outside. Sister Lily down on the rail, only 3 lengths off the pace in a compact group. Ever Loving right outside of her. And B Bluff at the back of the field, just 4 or 5 lengths from first to last as they hit the half-mile marker. And now we go, leads by a neck. Miss Martini now the presser from the outside, a line of 3. Yes, ma'am, Ever Loving, and Sister Lily to the inside, shuffled back to 5th on the rail. B Bluff at the back of the field still as they round the far turn. Miss Martini, now we go even once again. Yes, ma'am, creeping in from 3rd, 3 wide. She's still in with a shot. Sister Lily behind the leaders, looking for racing room. Ever Loving right outside of her as they come to the top of the lane. Miss Martini gets a giddy-up reminder to go, and she kicks away by 3, in fact. Now, Ever Loving coming out of the crowd to take the 2nd spot. Yes, ma'am, beaten in 3rd with a furlong to go. Miss Martini striding nicely. Miss Martini by 4 with a 16th to go. Ever Loving 2nd, B Bluff into 3rd. Miss Martini back to the races and back to the winner's circle. Miss Martini, nice and easy. Ever Loving 2nd, B Bluff 3rd, Sister Lily 4th.
Impressive. Jackpot Farms, Miss Martini. That solid debut. Some time off. She builds on that. And the Asmussen boys teaming up for a victory here. Miss Martini got bet and performs accordingly.
A real nice effort. She's trying to drift out a little bit around the turn under Keith Asmussen, kept her straight, got to her right lead, kicked on, was much the best here, just had a really good trip, and you saw that improvement from the first start to the second start.
Absolutely, and look, experience, if I'm not mistaken, 1, 2, 3 around there, 5, 7, 1, I think it was the one that was in third. Experience in these races goes a long way, especially at a racetrack like this. You'll notice Brian Hernandez knew he wasn't going to get there with Ramon Vasquez. I was just so used to Brian Hernandez. Ramon Vasquez on Yes Ma'am just took care of her around there. You know, tried to get her involved in the race. Knew he wasn't winning. Knew it just didn't get after her too much. Wanted it to be a good experience, like John Ortiz said.
Foundation building effort for Yes Ma'am. While you're looking at Miss Martini, Yes Ma'am, yeah, she did some things right. She broke sharp. She flashed tactical speed, and then just faded late.
And you could see she probably wants to go further because she was having to be hustled to hold her position. Even though she got good position, she was struggling to do it. I think going further, she'll get to use her stride more efficiently.
Look forward to seeing her resurface before long. Yes, ma'am. As for Miss Martini, remember her name. Impressive performance here. For the Asmussens, the Curlin filly strikes in her second career start, 7-5 post time. Favorite 5-7-1-4 in the 7th at Oaklawn Park.
They come on for the finish in the Pilgrim Stakes. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Colebrook Turf Mile.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nairabets.com.
Gray wins convincingly.
Seize the Gray. He's going to seize the day in the Pennsylvania Derby.
Seize the Gray is still there. Seize the Gray wins the Preakness.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Miss Martini in the winner's circle. Keith Asmussen, trained by Steve Asmussen. Miss Martini in the 7th Oaklawn Park to Paul in the winner's circle.
Yeah, I'm with the Hall of Fame trainer here, Steve Asmussen. This horse ran nice here, Steve.
Oh, very nice filly. You know, curling on and off track definitely didn't hurt, but not real big in stature, but the filly's got a beautiful stride to her and a nice future.
Yeah, and it seemed like he was sitting chilly most of the way.
She was away cleanly, looked like she was in control, very comfortable. Love how she looked going through the wire, galloping out.
Now you have two horses in the stakes race, the 1 and the 4 in here. You're going to have Aldira, and you're going to also have Glee. Now Glee, you're bringing Stuart Elliott in, your old man.
She's run 2 excellent races for Stuart, you know, dominating victories. Obviously a little different company today, but I thought the success that she had with Stuart and his familiarity with her needed to make sure that we belong at this level.
And what about Aldira?
Love her draw finally. You know, if you notice on both of her 2-turn races, she drew far outside, kind of tough trips into the first turn. I think, you know, with Eric on her from the 1 hole, turn her loose.
Well, congratulations here and good luck in the stakes, Steve.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Lots of good 2-year-olds in that barn. powerhouse stable. Steve Asmussen holds just about every record there is to hold out at Oaklawn Park. And Miss Martini here, a filly with a future, Richie.
Oh, absolutely. Love the way she panned out in the stretch and really ran straight and strong through the wire. Sometimes horses win by open lengths, and it's just because the horses behind them are struggling. She still had her legs up underneath her. She ran through the wire.
Yeah, she was running away from some some horses with experience, right? So she wasn't running away from a field that didn't know what they were doing. Some horses that had some nice figures and that were working in the right direction. And that curling that he mentioned, you like to think that going a little bit longer might be better.
Sure.
That wet track, we saw what Curlin did on a sloppy track at Monmouth Park back in 2007, his victory in the Breeders' Cup Classic. So, yeah, remember her name, Miss Martini, moving forward. We turn the page, race number 8. What do you know, more 2-year-olds? The boys here, $130,000 purse, a mile. There's the field. Take out the bookends. Big Much, JK, the favorite early on, 2-1 with Ricardo Santana.
Yeah, a horse that has experience. Ran once at Churchill Downs earlier this fall and did it the right way. Got a nice number that day and, like you said, ran away from the field. And you get an opportunity to run in these allowance spots. A lot of times when you have a 2-year-old that wins like this, you kind of get forced into running against the big boys in a stake. It's a much more comfortable landing spot after a start like that to his career.
Yep.
8th race, Oaklawn, the Year's End Stakes, race number 9. Here at Aqueduct, the racing is through with the sun setting behind us and the sun setting on 2024. New Year's, guys, this time of year, it's a lot of reflecting that we do, right? Whether it's in the sport that we love or just about everything in general. JK, when you look back at this last 12 months in racing, is there a favorite moment, one storyline, one horse in particular that comes to mind?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, a lot of times mine get tied into wagers. You know, if you get a nice pop and you can fall in love with a horse, whether it be a claim or a stakes type. But this one, for me, checked a lot of boxes personally, and it also just like emotionally, and I think it was rewarding for fans. I love Saratoga, and I love horses that run at Saratoga. I fell in love with this horse, Carl Spackler. As far as those silks are concerned, I love me some Bob Edwards and the Edwards family, E5 Racing, all the horses that they've had. They were obviously nice enough to name a horse after my father in Kinchin, so those silks do something for me. Also, Tyler being taken off of Sierra Leone, but winning this race, 4-star Dave, grade 1 for Chad Brown. And then Chad winning this race after this being the most elusive grade 1 turf race in his home track of Saratoga. It just checked a lot of boxes. Bob's post-race interview was hilarious, and it's also led to him bringing us some fresh sushi. You guys weren't there that day, but it was delicious.
He's offered to take me fishing. We couldn't hook it up this year, but I'm still in, Bob. You're watching. I want to go fishing.
It's interesting how the female equivalent, I guess the Diana, and Chad Brown had won it 92 times. But this one, yeah, this was elusive. Finally, that first win in the 4-star Dave, JK's top moment in 2024. Richie, for you, what comes to mind?
Oh, it was the Travers for sure this year. I think it just delivered on every level. We had Torpedo Anna, the filly, taking on the boys, stepping out of her division. Fierceness answering some questions, whether he could put 2 good races back-to-back. Would he show fight? Sierra Leone came with his run. I thought he ran a bit straighter in the Travers. Maybe that was kind of a harbinger of things to come. And then Johnny Velasquez. To me, he's just a wonder. You know, the first thing you see that go with riders is their legs. Johnny's legs are just as strong now as they ever were. And the fact that he did it with Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli, the 3 of them so critical to each other's success in this game, the band was back together and the race delivered on every level.
I can't remember the last time I rooted for a horse that hard that wasn't ridden by my father.
Wow.
I was so, and look, I love Mike Rapoli, Todd Pletcher, Johnny V, and Fierceness. They're great. But the filly taking on the boys and trying to do something that hadn't been accomplished in 1,000 years, right? The way Saratoga came to life in that energy, that vibration, when she dug in and dove at Fierceness one final time was just an incredible moment in thoroughbred racing. Guys, for me, it would be, you know, the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. 2023 was a difficult summer for many reasons, a lot of challenges, and that was the first time I had left Saratoga not feeling, just feeling unsatisfied and knowing what a trying summer that was. So returning for the first time, for the Belmont Stakes and how well that event went and how safe the racing was. And the crowd and the energy, the outcome with Dornoch, easy horse to root for, a fighter. But not just the race itself, just Saratoga feeling the way Saratoga should feel for a massive event and being able to look ahead and how exciting the summer was. Just the entire feel, the environment of the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. For me, that's what comes to mind.
I think you hit all the right notes with that, and it was a fabulous celebration of racing for the 4 days.
No, for sure. I mean, anytime you can get some extra time at my favorite racetrack and many people's favorite racetrack and in a sensational city, I think it's always a plus. We got some extra days here. It went great. The racing was fun. Got to see some really cool horses, some good races, and seems like it was so good. Maybe we'll slide up there a little bit earlier next year as well.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it. Another Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. Just some of the top moments in 2024, the year in racing. Again, some of the reflecting that takes place towards the end of the year, and looking forward to so much more in 2025. The calendar turns. The 2-year-olds become 3-year-olds. It's that march towards the Kentucky Derby, and again, we'll be on site for the Smarty Jones next week at Oaklawn Park. As our coverage continues here on Fox Sports 1, we'll have much more coming your way from Oaklawn, and also wanted to say happy birthday to my father this afternoon, turning 78 years old. Dad, happy birthday. Love you. Had a great time back at the track on a few days ago for the first ever Lafitte Pinkai Jr. out at Santa Anita, and one of his favorite moments in New York, that 1983 Belmont Stakes with Caveat coming up the rail for Woody Stevens. Happy birthday, Dad. We'll be right back. Much more coming your way on America's Day at the Races. Welcome back. America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 1. As always, coverage brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Race number 8, these 2-year-olds. Monet's Magic, number 3. Son of Hillendale stallion, Good Magic, the colt who graduated and broke his maiden in a Breeders' Cup Juvenile out at Del Mar back in 2017.
Yeah, and this horse has shown steady improvement and gets a good dry. You get Luis Machado, who's riding there, the rider of next. I guess he's shifted his tack to Oaklawn now for the winter.
Good Magic, those E5
Yeah,
silks
those
again.
colors.
Yeah, that was a fun day for the E5 stables. They had won with Rushing Fall on that day, and they also won with Good Magic. And I love that post-race social clip you'll see of Jose Ortiz after Good Magic won, and he's basically
So cool.
screaming at the horse, "Good boy."
Good boy.
Yeah,
Patting him on the
yeah,
shoulder.
yeah.
First ever career win for Good Magic in a Breeders' Cup event. We'll see about Monet's Magic here. So, okay, he didn't, win a Breeders' Cup race in his first career win. What do you make of his chances here? It took him a few starts to finally graduate, but now he finally has, facing winners for the first time.
But you have to like the progression. This horse was like a work in progress. He was just getting a little bit better incrementally, and last race was his best yet. So you got to feel like he's going in the right direction.
At a short price, I don't trust it. Like you said, he had all those other races, and then this one jumped up. Which one of these things is not like the other? And I just wonder, at a short price, I wonder, why did he run so well that day, and will he duplicate it?
Not getting the 24-1 that you did in his last start for that maiden breaking performance. Monet's Magic. Big Much pictured post parade co-favorite 5-2 for Norm Cassie.
Good post, nice debut, a homebred for Arkansas natives, Alex and Joanne Leblanc.
Another look at Monet's Magic.
Yes, certainly he's going to need some pace to close into. Does not have a lot of early foot.
Christian Torres pictured, then Fast Joker, an outsider, 16-1.
It's going to have to get faster to compete with some of these.
Heavenville for the Asmussens.
The middle leg of a possible Steve Asmussen pick 3.
Eric Asmussen in the saddle there. Then number 6, Amor Patrie. I'm sure I probably just butchered that. There he is. Nick Juarez in the saddle. Contender.
Yeah, already having a win at this young Oaklawn Park meeting when he stretched out to the mile.
Money line, Manny Esquivel at 16-1.
I'd imagine there's a lot of people out in the world today talking about money lines.
A few. Capo Luca towards the outside. 1 for 4 coming in, 12-1.
Yeah, broke his maiden for 30, was claimed. This is considerably tougher. He is in for a claiming tag today, but $125,000 claiming tag.
$130,000 purse. These 2-year-olds, a mile on a muddy track. And of course, you can play all the racing at Oaklawn Park. Get involved at NyraBets.com. When you do so, use that promo code BONUS200. Earn up to a $200 deposit match after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at NyraBets.com to earn your $200 deposit match. 3 of them here, JK, at 5-2. Big Much, Monet's Magic, and number 6, the horse whose name I can't pronounce.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
That list is growing.
All there in that same price. I think the one to me, I don't know, they're all a little bit goofy, right? Big Much was 17-1, got the win going shorter. So you got to overcome, last time was the time, you got to overcome the fact this horse is stretching out. You got to overcome the layoff. And then Monet's Magic I've already discussed. That number just kind of jumps up out of nowhere at 24-1. In a race where he came from way out of it. Then you got the 5, Heavenville at 5-2, who's just been kind of knocking on the door, but didn't run particularly well in the last 2 starts. And then the 6 as well, another horse who won last time, wide all the way around there. I think I would side with the 6. If you're going to take all 4 of these and put them in a blender to figure them out, I'll go with the 6. Amor, not going to fall for that.
4-1, JK's top selection, number 6. Paulie, how'd you see this one unfolding?
I'm not going to fall for it either with you two. Heavenville, I'll start with the 5, Heavenville. I do think that the horse looks tremendous on the racetrack. I've said this so many times. Steve Asmussen horses turned out unbelievable. And Heavenville looks like the speed of the speed in here. And I would think that Eric Asmussen's going to go towards the front end. I would think that, speed has been good. And that's why this horse is 3-1. But the horse has had 5 chances, does have a win, and the lone win was a 1-turn mile. So this is going to be the first time this horse has gone around 2 turns. So we'll see what happens there. Now the 6 in here, I kind of JK, on the one point that I think the 6 could stay on the 5's back. Nicky Juarez is very, very aggressive. And I think he stays right on top of the 5 and doesn't let the 5 get too far away. Now, you were mentioning the 3, Monet's Magic. I'm kind of with you, JK. When a horse just jumps up and runs that race, albeit from the 11 hole, it was a giant race, it just comes out of nowhere, right? And you're just like, this is the kind of horse I want to bet against. 24-1 last time in 5-2. Now, I landed on the 2, Big Much. Now, there's a lot that needs to happen here. He got scratched to the gate last time. That's his name, Big Much. He is a big son of Outwork. And I'll tell you what, he is a good-looking son of Outwork. And I was talking to Norm Cassie. The 11 horse he had earlier was almost getting pulled up and almost won the race. And he looked at me and he said, Paulie, how do you get out of a slump? So I'm going to ask you this, Mig, as well. My theory was, if I always had a bad day, say I went 0 for 4, like with a strikeout and a double play, I would do the exact same thing the next day because 2 negatives make a positive.
2 negatives make a positive. I like the thought process.
Sounds good.
When I was not riding well or I was in a bit of a slump, I would almost simplify things and start riding horses to get a check. Wouldn't even think about winning. Let me try to be 3rd. And ultimately what you do is you're riding your horses to put them in a position without using them. And you turn for home and you're like, all right, great, I'm going to be 3rd. And a lot of times then you get the big check.
But it has to be really hard not to press and to try too hard. And it gets into your head where with a rider, if your confidence takes a hit, all you have out there, your talent, you have your belief in yourself. When you start overthinking things, and you can become your own worst enemy, whether it's a rider or any other athlete.
Anytime you try to make things happen, you're pressing too much. You've got to allow things to happen, and you have to have faith in the process. And happy birthday to your dad. But one of the things I picked up from your dad when he was in a bit of a slump, he would turn his socks inside out, his underwear inside out, everything. So I did pick up on that as well too, because jockeys are notoriously superstitious as well.
Absolutely. Gamblers, handicappers, they can be a little superstitious. Yes,
sometimes. Yeah, I've never got too crazy. If I'm at the racetrack and I'm playing like a multi-race bet and I've been watching it either live or on a TV, I'll just stick to it. But if I get pulled away for a real reason, I'm not going to but if I have a choice and I'm just standing somewhere, I'm going to watch the TV that I hit the first 4 legs on. I'm not going to switch TVs. That would be crazy. Same thing if I've always watched it from a certain spot, I'm going to keep watching it from that spot. But I'm just a little stitious, not super.
How do you adjust, though, if you don't feel as a handicapper that you're seeing the ball clearly?
Well, I mean, it just depends. I mean, I think that you most of the way that I play is multi-race bet. So if I play an early pick 5 and I get beat, and I just get beat, I play the late pick 5. Maybe the next day you can, or that night or that next morning, you can have a conversation with yourself of where you went wrong. But as long as I've been playing, I don't become too results oriented. And I think that a lot of people make the mistake of becoming, in a lot of things in life in general, become too results oriented. If you believe in your process, you've taken the time to build your process, and you do your process and something goes wrong, it's not time to change your process. Right. It doesn't always work out, especially in a game like this.
The thing that impresses me most about you, Jonathan, is you would never know whether you just hit a big score or you just got nosed out for a big score. You stay very even.
Well,
outwardly, at least.
Yeah.
The key, the real way to know, if you ever want to zoom in on a one shot, if I start sweating, that's when I'm.
That's your tell.
Yeah, but it's sometimes it's hot in Saratoga, so it doesn't.
Yeah, you sweat for 2 months.
Exactly.
Saratoga's hard. As long as I know. Big Much here, and here's the thing: you have to 8-5 now on a colt, Richie, who was 17-1 in his debut. It was the opposite of when the word gets out on a 2-year-old who's training well and expected to run well in his debut. Ice cold on the board in his debut and went out there and struck. Now you have to concede 8-5.
Yeah, I mean, right. So, in racetrack punch, you would say you missed the wedding, right? But Paul talked about him from a physical perspective, the size of him.
Big boy.
So you would expect that a mile would be well within his scope. The pedigree leads you to believe the mile will be no problem. And he gets a great draw, not a very long run to that first turn, and he has that race under his belt. I can understand why he's taking money.
Hillendale Stallion, Good Magic. Sire of Monet's Magic is in the gate. Fast Joker as well. 8-5, Big Much. At post time, Matt Ditterman with the load and call, the 8th of 10 live from Oaklawn.
Fast Joker in the pink colors. A more Patrie load again. 2 back. Money line, post position 7. And then Capo Luca to the outside post. Here's Capo Luca and Rocco Bowen. We're ready to go. And they're off. A more Patrie wins the start. Broke beautifully today. Heavenville is up on the pace as well. Big Much coming out of a sprint race naturally quick. And Heavenville, Big Much side by side. Big Much keen down on the inside. Takes a hold, and Heavenville wants the lead. He's got it. Clears off, leads a length and a half from Big Much, who concedes the lead. Gets off the rail, now 2 lengths off the front runner. A more Patrie running in third. Moneyline, Monet's Magic, they're side by side. They're a length and a half clear of Fast Joker. And Capo Luca is well behind early. A strung out group approaches the backstretch run. Heavenville and Eric Asmussen lead the way, a length and a half from Big Much and Ricardo Santana Jr. in chase mode now. Tips out into the 2-path to track, and Heavenville slowing the pace down the backstretch. A more Patrie 2 lengths behind in third. 4 back to Monet's Magic. Moneyline side by side. 3 back to Fast Joker, pushed upon already in the second last position, and Capo Luca still well out of it as they go into the far turn. Heavenville going pretty well here into the turn. A length and a half clear of Big Much, and a more Patrie down on the inside, getting a little bit closer. 4 back to Monet's Magic. Christian Torres imploring him to get going. Moneyline is dropping back. Fast Joker trying to get into the race. He's past the weakening Moneyline, but is still about 10 lengths off the lead. Coming to the top of the lane. This race will end at the 16th pole. Heavenville the leader by 3/4 of a length. Big Much all in the second position. Monet's Magic finally getting into it, finding his best stride. Here he comes. He's getting outside Monet Magic, and Monet's Magic just gobbling up ground. Very green here, trying to shift into Heavenville, but Monet's Magic coasts to the front from Heavenville. Monet's Magic as green as grass, but he gets it. Heavenville second best. Big Much, Fast Joker, a more Patrie, and then Capo Luca and Moneyline.
Still has a lot to learn, but the ability is there. And now back-to-back wins for Monet's Magic. Taking down this 8th race at Oaklawn Park. What happens here in the stretch, Richie?
Yeah, so he's inside behind the leader at this point. He's on the wrong lead. Luan Machado gets him out onto his right lead. Hit him once right-handed. He steps in at the same time that the 5 Heavenville stepped out. So his shoulder went onto Heavenville's hip. He pulled off him, and it looked at me like as soon as he hit the front, he pulled up. He just, oh, my job's over. I made the lead. So there's still a little greenness there, but this is a horse that certainly can continue to improve because he shakes that greenness. He's going to go forward.
Monet's Magic, Heavenville. Take a look at the head-on here. Christian Torres and Monet's Magic, Richie, picking up the action right there. From this angle, what unfolds here?
Just comes out from behind him. Now he's going to hit him right-handed. He steps in at the same time. And actually, the inside stepped out more than he stepped in. He was trying to lug in, but that inside horse, Heavenville, came out to him, touched his shoulder, still trying to lug in here, but he was best. This was a nice effort, again, for a horse that there's a lot of improvement there when he kind of figures it all out and stops some of that shenanigans. But I like the fact that he raced on the inside, took kickback, wasn't worried about traffic. That's a good thing to see in a young horse.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's one of those situations where I questioned his last performance, where it came from. He just seemed to have figured it out, or maybe it's Ben Colebrook that helped him figure it out. And Ben Colebrook has had some success with 2-year-olds in the past, right? I mean, let's not forget what he did with Knicks Go before Knicks Go went on. He ran second in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile to game winner, and Ben knows his way around a 2-year-old.
Midway Racing's Monet's Magic, back-to-back wins. Good Magic Colts in the 8th at Oaklawn Park. 2-1 at post time, 2-5, 3-5, 2-4 in the 8th. Results when we come back. Stay tuned.
The champion 2-year-old. one of 4 champion 2-year-olds in his immediate family. Essential quality at 2, undefeated.
Essential quality, though, has opened up by 5.
Devastating. His own first 2-year-olds race in 2025. If they're anything like him and you've got a mare in foal, just imagine.
These New York bred foals represent many sires. War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker. But they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as Open Company 2-year-olds at NYRA Tracks. That's nearly 20% more than they run for now. Learn more about it at nybreds.com.
The Factor, a perennial leading sire of winners. He was 3rd in the nation by winners in 2021 and 2022. His progeny include Grade 1 winners Sistron and Noted and Quoted, Grade 2 winner Charmaine's Mia, and millionaires Bound for Nowhere. And factor this, with dozens of 6-figure yearling sales, he's a proven sire on the track and in the sales ring. The Factor, standing at Lane's End.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on NYRA Bets. Open your NYRA Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the NYRA Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
You know. You're watching America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 1. As always, brought to you in part by NYRA Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit NYRABets.com or download the NYRA Bets app to get started. Such a cool town, Hot Springs, Arkansas. Hopefully you're firing away on your NYRA Bets account and had Monet's magic here. Some theatrics late, but in the end, a victory. Christian Torres, leading rider, teaming up with Ben Colebrook. And like you said, Richie, like once he puts it all together and starts to mature and become more professional, he's going to be all right, given the physical attributes.
Yeah, listen, he's a closing 2-year-old that takes dirt, takes kickback, and finishes. You got to like that.
Winning trainer Ben Colebrook with Paul.
Hold on.
I got more of a face for radio, so
I don't know why. Right now? With trainer Ben Colebrook, with the winning horse here, Monet's Magic. What has changed with this horse?
Well, I mean, he's always showed his talent. His first race was just, you got to draw a line through it. And then each race, he's progressively gotten better and better. We were a little worried about shortening back up to a mile. I think, especially with the short wire here. But, he got the job done. But I think down the road when the distances stretch out, I don't think distance is going to be a problem for him. It looks like you're going to have some fun with him.
You said you put blinkers on him. He's such a goofball. Yeah. You even tell him the jockey he's a goofball.
Yeah, he looks around at everything, and he just kind of overreacts and kind of runs in spots. But, I mean, his talent overcomes it. And I thought maybe if I put some blinkers on him, it might focus him. But it did the opposite. So I scrapped that idea, put a shadow roll on him. But, Christian rode a great race, and the horse is getting better. And, it's exciting with a 3-year-old this time of year.
When you get a horse like that, are they smart?
I think so, yeah. I think they notice everything where a lot of horses don't maybe pay attention to everything. So they're noticing everything and they're processing it. And it just maybe sometimes they just kind of, it's not really spooky. He just kind of like, and it's his first race here. I mean, he's getting better all the time. And I think that's just going to come with racing. He said, when he got to pass the horse, he's like, I'd done enough and kind of stopped. Yeah. So it was good that he made him gallop out. When he galloped out, in front of the other horses, that really encouraged me because, like I said, I think 1 1/8, hopefully, when you talk about 1 1/4 miles, there's really only one race. But, we're still on the dream is alive.
It's always great to have a nice 2-year-old. Congratulations, Ben.
Thank you.
How satisfying that must be, Richie, when the trainer figures out what the horse needs to maximize potential, but at the same time, how frustrating the process might be, all the trial and error that goes on until you figure things out.
It seems like Ben has a pretty good handle on, that this horse is just very inquisitive almost, right? And he's checking everything out. And he talked about he experimented with blinkers in the morning, and it didn't have the effect he thought it might have, because a horse like this, some of them, they want to look around the blinkers. They want to see what's going on behind them, and it almost distracts them more.
We'll see what happens with these 2-year-old fillies coming up next in the year's end. JK, there's the field updated odds, Glee, and it will be fun. 5-2 early on. How did you see this one unfolding?
Yeah, I mean, look, when you have a horse like Glee who's won by 10 lengths and 15 lengths and 5 lengths, it's something that's a little bit comforting. And also the fact that this horse is an Honor AP. Honor AP got going a little bit later. So you'd like to think that Glee might be one of those as well. And how in the heck could I not root for a Texas bred running in Arkansas?
Because you could just root for your friend, Tom Amos. Did he say anything to you about you'll be back?
No, he didn't. I always root for Tom, though. He's my default root. But if Texas was playing LSU, Tom would root for LSU. We know that for sure, so I'm going to root for Texas.
Tom Amos, when you talk about some of your favorite moments in thoroughbred racing, we were just discussing some of ours in 2024. For a trainer like Tom, who's had that kind of success at the highest level, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to imagine what his favorite in racing might be, considering what he accomplished at Churchill Downs on the first Friday in May a few years back.
My favorite race is the 2019 Kentucky Oaks, with my horse, Serengeti Empress, crossing the finish line first, and everything that she brought to us with that win. I don't know what it's like to actually be an athlete in a major event, but I think that walkover is about as close a feeling as you can get to it, because you just feel electric inside.
They're off in the Kentucky Oaks.
I really wasn't watching her out of the gate because a horse had stumbled and lost its rider. And I immediately turned to that horse to make sure she was okay. And then I turned my attention back to Serengeti Empress, who was making the lead going to the first turn and saving ground from the 13th hole. That was the plan. So everything to this point is going great. My wife had turned to me and said, 46 and change, that is too quick for a half mile. And I turned and I said, not for my horse, it's not. Turning for home, I thought she cut the corner great. She's gonna take a challenge right here. And I'm like, uh-oh. But when Serengeti sees this filly out of the corner of her eye, she re-brakes, takes off, and it's right about here where I realize I'm gonna win the Kentucky Oaks.
As they come down to the line, Serengeti Empress has taken the Kentucky Oaks.
I remember raising my hands like this, and then one of my friends patted me on the back, and I lost my balance. And I fell into my daughter, and I fell into my wife, and we hit the floor. And everybody piled on like it was like we just won the World Series. I must have thought about a million things at the same time, but the most overwhelming thought in my head was my parents. And I always hoped I could do something in their lifetime that would make them proud, a signature race, and this was it for me. I mean, how do you describe something that just makes everything in the world seem great? I don't know what's in the future for Tom Amos Racing Stable, what big races might be out there, but for me, this will be the one, and she'll be the one. I'll never, ever forget her.
Like the greatest post-race celebration in the history of great post-race celebrations.
He didn't get patted on the back. He got tackled from behind. I mean, it was delirium. It was great. It was fun to watch. And it was a great shot of Tom, who's not only a great colleague, but just a terrific guy. And somebody I consider a friend. I know we all do. And how about Serengeti Empress, though? A speed horse that when the closers get to her, will fight them. I mean, usually speed horses are hanging on. The third base coach is yelling, slide. No, she's not her. She's just going to dig in and fight you off.
Oh, she was special. I mean, she lost to Kofefi up at Saratoga in that just duel down the stretch. Kofefi went on to win the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint and become champion 3-year-old, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And then Serengeti Empress came back, got into an even faster pace situation in the Ballerina, and held off those horses to win. She was a very cool racehorse, and I know she means a lot to Tom and his family.
So many great moments with Serengeti Empress, but for Tom Amos, his favorite moment, his favorite race, that victory in the Kentucky Oaks with Serengeti Empress. He trains, you'll be back. There she is, major contender in this year's end stakes, the featured event on this day dedicated to the 2-year-olds at Oaklawn Park. Riders up, post-parade, post-time in 16 minutes.
Spendthrift Farm, a name synonymous with greatness through much of the 1900s, suddenly found itself in a new millennium and weathering a storm. Yet, within these old walls, a legacy awaited its rebirth. In 2004, a new chapter began. A visionary with a passion for horses and a respect for history saw this farm's potential. As the first rays of morning light touched these hallowed pastures, the stroke of a pen breathed life back into Spendthrift. What followed was nothing short of a revival, a resurrection of tradition and excellence. Malibu Moon, now etched in history, returned home to usher in a new dawn for Spendthrift's once proud stallion operation. Spendthrift was not just back, it was reborn. 2013 marked a watershed moment in the rebuild of Spendthrift as the farm was again home to a Kentucky Derby sire. A rewarding first decade in Spendthrift's new story. But there was more work to be done. Beholder, a queen of the track, returned Spendthrift to prominence on the world's biggest stages and was sweet symbolism for a bloodline that was beginning to erupt.
Beholder is absolutely poetry in motion.
Her brother, Into Mischief, would return Spendthrift to prominence in the stud barn, becoming the sire of our time and cornerstone of this reborn dynasty. In 2020, Authentic delivered a Derby and a Breeders' Cup Classic win that were more than just victories. It was a statement and a crowning achievement for the farm and its visionary leader. Today, Spendthrift is home to the best stallions racing has to offer. Each represents a piece of the legacy B. Wayne Hughes built, a tribute to the past and a beacon for the future. And now, a new era dawns.
Kingsbarns looking to finish them off in the Louisiana Derby. Kingsbarns has opened up.
Kingsbarns bounding past the Twin Spires in the Fuster. National Treasure putting on a show. And the Preakness, it's going to be National Treasure.
National Treasure devastating them in the Metropolitan Handicap. Dornock in an absolute thriller. It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stakes.
And Dornock stubborn. Dornock wins the Haskell.
Three top performers who carry with them the hopes and dreams of tomorrow. Their arrival marks not just a continuation, but an evolution. Spendthrift Farm stands today as a testament to vision, perseverance, and a deep respect for tradition. Dedicated to ensuring a strong future for all breeders who are committed to the same level of excellence. The barns, once weathered, now gleam in the Kentucky sun. The Paddocks, alive with the energy of the world's finest thoroughbreds, tell the story of a farm that has been and always will be a place where champions are made and legends call home.
Legacy, the tradition, those names, and the impact on racing over the years, those images from Spendthrift Farm. On a day dedicated to the future, 2-year-olds, all the time at Oaklawn Park, and now the featured event Year's End Stakes with $175,000 purse, 2-year-old fillies, a mile the distance, riders up, and a post-parade brewing. You'll have a chance to meet the field. You'll be back for Tom Amos, JK, the current favorite at 9-5.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's Tom Amos, so that's obvious. But no, this horse ran well last time, was bet down at Fairgrounds, stretches out to the mile, but the pedigree, you know, it's a practical joke. You saw what Domestic Product was able to do. I don't get too carried away when it's up to a mile with younger horses. Right. I think talent sometimes can carry you past whether or not you've got some sort of a stamina deficiency. That comes out when we get to these mile and an eighth races, the mile and a quarter races. But I think here you can fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it as long as you've got talent.
You'll be back 2-1 favorite. Christian Torres, leading rider, seeking a third win on the afternoon. Also strong support here, Richie, for Glee for Steve Asmussen.
I think it's very interesting that they bring in Stuart Elliott, and Steve talked about the continuity that she's run big races for him.
Second choice, and when she wins, she does run up the score. 10-length win, 15-length win, 5.5.
I'd imagine Richie would have had a fit in his day if he got taken off a horse he won by 25 lengths on.
Yeah, I mean, you feel like, listen, you don't have a contract, you don't have ownership of that, but you feel like, hey, I won on the horse, I'm supposed to ride it back, right?
What I do wrong? Stuart Elliott and Glee. Post-parade, there's Adira, first of 2 for Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since she's won. She's got 4 losses since her first win, but she's at least showing up. She's got some experience, and she's right there from a figure standpoint.
For Tom Amos, you'll be back the favorite, 2-1, 8 minutes out.
Yeah, what a depth of pedigree on the female side of this family. Grand Dam of Danzig Mare Aurora, Althea, the great Grand Dam. There's a lot of quality in this pedigree.
Number 3, it will be fun. Kenny McPeak seeking a 3rd straight year-end stakes.
Yeah, some more tactical speed stretching out.
Glee, yeah, when she wins, she really runs up the score.
Yeah, Glee gives you a lot to smile about when she runs her A race, and you get Stuart Elliott coming back to where it all really began with Smarty Jones for him.
20 years ago. Kinsey Queen Stakes debut.
Yeah, another one who's stretching out, but she does have that mile at Churchill where she won. Although it wasn't her best performance for Steve Asmussen, she's now switching barns.
Jinkin, improving.
Improving every start as she stretches out in every start. Those legendary short-leaf stable colors.
Mischievous Bria, the Iowa bred.
Yeah, giving this one a shot as well. Another stretch out, which is common this time of the year. You're going to see horses that are going to be trying these mile 2-turn races for the first time.
2-year-old fillies, 7 strong, mile the distance, $175,000 purse, the year's end stakes in 7 minutes to Paul. Standing by with Tom Amos.
Yeah, I am with our colleague Tom Amos, and yeah, I was joking around with you. You got a lot of text messages from what I heard.
Yeah, you making fun of me on the air? I'm going to get you back in August.
Okay, you'll be back here. This is a filly, obviously, first time out, ran against a little bit of a monster. Then next time out, ran very, very, very well.
Yeah, we started her off at the spring meet at Churchill Downs, and it was just too soon for her. Gave her some time off. Came back, she ran a really big race at the fairgrounds. You know, off air, you were talking about the fact that she was able to use Lasix in that race. She can't today. I mean, look, as a trainer, that's what I do for a living. I worry. So I worry about that. I worry about track condition. There's a transition in distance from 1 turn to 2 turns. But, you know, it's a short stretch, you know, the mile. And, look, I like what she's been showing me in practice. We're here for a reason, you know, and we really think we can perform well today, despite all the things I just told you.
You really need to do your homework a little more, Tom.
Yeah. Look, it keeps me up at night. Trust me.
But you were talking about practical joke to that first wire was the reason why you kind of stretch her out here.
I think it's a great transition from, you know, 6/8 a mile, 6 furlongs to go a mile. And if you want to explore 2 turns, you know, you get the shortened stretch. So if that's within her scope and no more than that, she can still be effective.
Is that enough info for you guys?
Good enough. Tom Amos. And yeah, Paul better watch his back at Saratoga. He wasn't messing around.
Tom's from New Orleans. He's not. You're not going to slide nothing past him.
He filed that one away.
You'll be back here. The favorite 2-1 as the race unfolds early on. Richie, what are you looking for? Where would You'll Be Back be best situated?
I think she's going to be forward. I could see her on the lead here, coming off of 2 sprints. You know, she came from just off the pace in both of those, but you know, they went 22-1. 22 flat. They're not going to go quite that fast here. And we did hear Steve Asmussen talk about Adira on the rail, that they're going to let her run away from there, you know, using that post position.
Adira, number 1. You'll Be Back the favorite, 9-5. Then number 4, Glee. And, yeah, this was the Toby Keith at Remington when she leaves her competition in the wake of this stellar performance.
Yeah, and listen, I don't know that, you know, what she was running against here. But you gotta like when a horse draws away like this. I mean, she basically every stride from the 8th pole to the wire, she was putting more distance on her opposition. And looking at her from a size standpoint, at least what I can discern from TV, distance isn't going to be any issue even as they go further. She's got a lot of length and scope to her.
And the one thing about Glee, and I agree, I mean, it comes up often, is I don't know who she was running against. But the one thing we do know, the one thing we do know she was running against was the clock. And she ran in a time that puts her in the speed figure category with all of these other horses. And that gives you a little bit of comfort. And also the fact that she isn't on her AP. And if you look at on her AP and who he was as a racehorse, you'll understand that she's only going to get better as they go further and as she gets older. And so I'd like to think she'll take another step forward. And one thing I think that you got to give Steve Asmussen credit for is because he has so many horses at so many different racetracks, he has a keen ability to understand when horses fit and where they fit and where they don't fit. And the fact that he's taken this horse into open company and trying this spot, I think she's sitting on a big race.
Watched Christopher Elliott win a race earlier today at Aqueduct. Father Stewart aboard Glee in this year's end stakes, 2-1, then Jenkin. Short leaf, those famed colors at Oaklawn Park. Jenkin on the improve, and finally and graduating in her third career start and most recent.
Yeah, saving her best for Oaklawn Park, which I would have to consider John Ed Anthony, Shortleaf Stables principal owner, his home track, right? He's Arkansas native, and this was a nice effort. I like the fact that she has kind of made these incremental steps, right? 6.5, 7 mile being her best go, and a win over the racetrack.
Jenkin there, and see what she does in this year's end stakes. To Paul, Trackside at Oaklawn.
Yeah, guys, sorry, my headset keeps going out on me, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Lafitte, and trying to work with me here. When I look at this race, you know, the two, you'll be back. Tom is concerned a little bit about the distance a tiny bit. Like he said, he worries a little bit. And the LASIK's coming off, especially for a stakes race in here. You know, Mig made a good point. Glee looks tremendous on the racetrack for a Texas bred here. A lot of people don't know that the Asmussens cut all their teeth and break all their horses out in Texas. And he is a big old son. And that was the first time him going around 2 turns. So he could be very dangerous in here. But I'm going to land on Jenkin, because if you look back, Legal Empress came back to win today. I thought it was a game effort. This horse showed speed last time out, going around 2 turns for the first time. For short leaf, I think Lindsay Schultz, like I always tell you, is an up-and-coming trainer. She's already a great trainer, and I think that this horse can take another step forward. And right now at 9-2, you're getting a good price. So I'll go with Jenkin.
Jenkin and Francisco Arrieta on paper. JK, how much would she have to improve off of her maiden win to contend with these fillies enough to win a year's end?
No, not a lot. I mean, the one thing about her that I guess if I had to knock her is that she earned her best lifetime performance at 15-1, going 2 turns. She stalked a crawling pace. So I don't feel like she overcame much adversity in that spot. But at 9-2, I mean, I think there's worse wagers at 9-2. I mean, she's obviously improving. But that would be the one knock I had on her, is that the pace wasn't fast last time.
Jenkin, those colors. Is there a first horse, whether it's short leaf or former Loblolly, that comes to mind, Richie, with horses like Demons Be Gone, Van Landingham, a Preakness winner, Pine Bluff, so many top-class horses over the years?
Well, for me, it would be Temperance Hill. You know, that was the year I started riding that fall that he had won the Belmont earlier in the year. I was there, obviously. He won the Travers. And watching Eddie Maple ride a horse that really needed guidance, direction. He had a very short attention span. And if you go back and watch his Belmont, he beat the likes of Genuine Risk that day. Eddie had to ride him from the 5/8 pole as hard as you're ever going to see a horse get ridden. But he kept finding, and he paid over $100 that day.
John Ed Anthony's Jenkin, contender here in this year's end stakes. Race shape early on, Jonathan. What are you looking for right when the gates bust open?
There's a lot of horses that are stretching out. So you'd like to think that there's going to be at least some sort of an honest clip, and also to the first turn. The other thing is I don't think, and Richie maybe can comment on this more than I can, I don't think if I had a lightly raced young horse that I'd want to stick him in behind a bunch of horses in a sloppy racetrack and let them get a bunch of that kickback on themselves for the first time. You know, most of the time when you have young horses that are talented, they usually find their talent takes them in front of horses. So it could be a new thing for them. So I think the pace will at least be honest.
Oh, I think it should be honest. My personal opinion is the 2 You'll Be Back will be in front, coming out of the 2 sharp-paced sprints. And Tom Amos is a trainer who understands the value and the importance of speed. And he doesn't instruct his riders to take that speed away from them. So and Christian Torres is a rider that doesn't take it away from him. I think there's certain principles of riding that every rider goes by, and one of mine was never take anything away that comes easy. Allow them to get in their stride.
This day last year, it wasn't in the year's end stakes. There was a maiden race. A filly by the name of Lemon Muffin ran second. A few months later, still a maiden, and all she did was win the Honeybee for trainer Dwayne Lucas. And what a story that was in a trip to the Kentucky Oaks. And that's what makes these days so exciting, so special of what this could be the start of.
Yeah, listen, in a business where we're living for today, but we're always looking to the future, these are races that are going to give us signals, or it's going to be a barometer of what we can see going forward towards the Spring Classics.
Aptly named Year's End Stakes. It is post time. Glee, the favorite, is in at 2-1. Matt Dinnerman with the load and call. The Year's End Stakes, live from Oaklawn on Fox Sports 1.
Saw her act this way before her last race, where she broke her maiden. Jenkins just about in. Now she's in. Mischievous Bria to the outside. The penultimate race on the card, and also the penultimate race here at Oaklawn for 2024. It's the Year's End Stakes, our feature today for 2-year-old fillies. Going a mile, we're ready to go. And Laroff. Glee, prominent early. Your stablemate Adira is going to take control of things from the rail. You'll be back on a hold, a little bit keen to get after the front runner, sitting in second, though. It Will Be Fun. Also on a hold going into the turn is 3 Deep. Adira with the lead from It Will Be Fun, and You'll Be Back right behind them, easing off in the third position with Glee. Jenkins is next. 2 long shots at the back. Kinsey Queen, Mischievous Bria, side by side, 6 off the pace. Approaching the backstretch run, Julian Leperoux lets It Will Be Fun to stride out. First time rounding for her. She's quick and opens up too. Adira relaxing, happy to track from second with a lineup of runners there. She's being joined on the outside by You'll Be Back, who's wedged between horses. Glee taking the third position away, and Adira shuffled back to fourth, now 2 off the pace on the fence. A length and a tail to Jenkins, and 3 more to Kinsey Queen, just ahead of Mischievous Bria, who's the back markers, those 2 long shots together. Remember, this race will at the 16th pole, they go into the far turn run. It Will Be Fun, neck in front. You'll Be Back, cruising to the front, though, takes command without being asked. You'll Be Back, and Glee is being asked to follow that move on the outside, and these 2 hook up. It Will Be Fun is done, dropping to the back of the pack. Jenkins is hard sent, getting closer into third. She's moving, and Kinsey Queen's in with a shot from fourth, joining Adira. Both runners under pressure, though, as they come to the top of the lane. You'll Be Back off the turn, narrow lead. Glee's right there. Adira attempting to sneak through on the rail. She just brushed the rail there, and Jenkins coming down the outside. Look at Jenkins in the short leaf stable colors going to the front. Jenkins takes over the lead, and it's Jenkins back-to-back wins, and she's a stakes winner today in the Year's End Stakes. You'll Be Back was second, Adira third, and fourth was Glee.
On the ascent, John Ed Anthony's Jenkins takes down the Year's End. Impressive.
This race really heated up in the middle, right? It seemed like horses were kind of making their moves in waves, and she was the one coming with the last run, kind of followed and drafted in behind Glee. Very game performance by the 2. You'll Be Back, trained by Tom Amos, but this is an improving daughter of Mineshaft here, who just kept coming with a relentless rally.
She sure did. I mean, look, I had pointed out that in her last race, she didn't face any adversity. She had some in here. I mean, it wasn't the easiest, perfect trip. She got a nice trip in here, but we've talked about this before. And it's a hard thing with young horses to understand what's going to happen. When you're talented, you make good trips for yourself, because that's the definition of talent. We saw it with American Pharoah over and over and over again. Oh, he's never been tested. Yeah, because no one tested him. He made his own trips.
Paul LaDuca standing by live with winning trainer Lindsay Schultz.
Well, she's quiet in nature, but she brings a bang when she trains her horses. And this horse went around 2 turns, and she's changed.
This filly is very progressive, and with the added distance, she's only gotten better. And look, Mr. Anthony has given me a chance with these horses, and I really appreciate it. She's a nice one.
You know, Lindsay, you came here like a couple of years ago. You're starting to get your teeth a little bit more. This is a big win for you. I'm so happy for you. And this is a filly that, where would you go next with her if she comes out of the race well?
Let's just kind of get it back to the barn and see how she does, but she'll take all the distance we can give her, I think.
Well, congratulations on the win, Lindsay. Well deserved. Gets the job done here in the Year's End, the last stakes of the year here at Oaklawn, guys.
For Lindsay Schultz and Jenkins, the farther the better, and a 2-year-old filly about to turn 3 to keep an eye on moving forward in those John Ed Anthony colors with Francisco Arrieta. Jenkin runs down. You'll be back 6-2-1-4 in the year's end stakes. Much more from Oaklawn as our coverage continues. Jenkin wins the year's end.
Say hello to Move. It's a one-horse race, very professional and very fast. Move, rolling home by 4 in fine style.
Muth, the son of good magic, coming down the stretch in Hot Springs to win it.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nairabets.com.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 44 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sales sire at the September sale. Curlin, the classic sire.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Featured event at Oaklawn. Jenkin, Francisco Arrieta entering the winner's circle for trainer Lindsay Schultz. Back-to-back wins, now a stakes winner. Top of the stretch here, Richie and Jenkin just starting to find her best stride.
Yeah, didn't even corner that well. Came off the turn a bit wide, but, you know, her momentum was going forward, and sometimes it's better lose a little ground and keep that forward momentum, that progress. This filly is a filly that has taken positive steps forward, and this was her best yet, and I'm sure we're going to see more from her going forward.
You'll be back ran well, really hard to respond, almost ambushed by Jenkin in deep stretch.
Well, she took that really prolonged, you know, sustained challenge from the 4 Glee and was able to put her away, but it made her ripe to be picked off by Jenkin.
Yeah, and Tom had expressed there's a lot of things I think he was concerned about, and, you know, maybe if you bet you'll be back here, she'll be back, and I think maybe she'll make some changes and he'll make some changes. It was just an unfortunate situation. The other filly ran extremely well.
Watch your back at Saratoga, Paul. Watch your back. We turn the page. Race 10. Maidens, what do you know? More 2-year-olds. JK, who takes down the nightcap at Oaklawn Park?
Well, as of right now, the public is telling you that Restless Renegade is going to take it down here. This Into Mischief colt, who's got a couple of starts for him, for Kenny McPeaks, getting an opportunity to go 2 turns here.
8-5, 10th and final. You'll see it right here. Winding things down from Oaklawn Park. The 2-year-olds, and for trainer Dwayne Lucas, another win earlier today with a 17-year-old apprentice in Tyler Bacon. That's next.
For a time, as many as 350 major league players converged in Hot Springs, Arkansas each spring to prepare for the upcoming season.
Ownership felt they needed to boil out the alcoholic microbes. Hot Springs was known as a place that had therapeutic waters, and they came for that reason. And then the ball players turned out to love it because they really not only did get in shape, but they had a great time.
By the 1930s, nearly half of all major league teams had, at some point, used Hot Springs as their spring training base. Plus, about half of all prominent ball players visited Hot Springs individually. Babe Ruth used to visit Hot Springs to work his way into shape, a place to prepare for spring training. In fact, the Babe even used the hot healing waters to recover from influenza. This wall at the Gangsters Museum of America in Hot Springs represents the long list of Hall of Fame baseball greats who trained here. The winter storm of 2021 is a reminder of why baseball eventually migrated away from Hot Springs. The rain proved to be a disruption, and sometimes even the cold and snow wiped out valuable practice time. Although by the 1930s most teams moved to Florida and Arizona, Hot Springs would continue to be a destination for players to work out before joining their major league squads for decades to come.
Fascinating. The history, the characters, from Babe Ruth preparing for the Major League Baseball season to the Gangster Museum that you visited to the racing. Just a cool town, Hot Springs, Arkansas.
It's just got a great ambiance, great atmosphere. It's a racing town and obviously a very rich history beyond racing. Fun place to be.
American Promise not impressed, kicking whatever's behind him. Should be impressed by his trainer. There he is, Dwayne Lucas. And fun story we had a chance to follow earlier today. JK, Tyler Bacon, 17-year-old apprentice riding for Dwayne Lucas. They won together earlier today, and they'll try once again with American Promise.
Yeah, it's a cool thing for Tyler. I can only imagine to have an opportunity to ride for someone like Dwayne Lucas. He's never even given me a leg up. I got to talk to him in a golf cart one time, and I was starstruck, so I can only imagine.
That was a fun talk. That was a fun addition. Dwayne Lucas, the highlights, everything he had done. Keep in mind that there's a 72-year discrepancy here between Tyler Bacon and Dwayne Lucas. I think it was like a year and change after Dwayne Lucas won that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies with Folklore, right? Doesn't seem that long ago that Tyler Bacon was born.
I mean, it really is crazy to think about. But you know what? I agree with Jonathan, what you said earlier. I think he's taking great pleasure in helping along young talent.
Yeah, you talk about legacy. I mean, he's got a bunch of trophies, but you know, the thing that keeps going is the people. The Todd Pletchers, the Mike Makers, the George Weavers, the Kieran McLaughlins, the Jamie Torreses, the Tyler Bacons.
Dwayne Lucas, American Promise, Tyler Bacon, and for a 17-year-old apprentice, we touched on this earlier, that Jamie Torres, the night before he rode the eventual Preakness winner, Sees the Gray at Saratoga, and when he learned he was going to ride for Dwayne Lucas, he told Maggie after the race, he's like, I couldn't even sleep last night knowing I was going to ride for Dwayne Lucas. So you can just imagine what this experience is like for apprentice Tyler Bacon.
You know, I was already riding and doing well when Wayne was really making a big splash, and of course you're always thrilled to ride for him because you knew you were riding live horses, good horses, and big races. But I guess it would be for me, because I love the history of our game, is like if Sonny Jim Fitzsimmons was still training or somebody of that ilk from a different era. When you're that young and Wayne Lucas is that legendary figure.
Let's get back to Paul at Oaklawn.
Yeah, listen, when you have a kid this young, and you know what, Dwayne Lucas is one of those guys that always gives somebody a chance. And this kid can flat out ride. And born in 2007 makes me feel so old, it's unbelievable. I think I was playing against the Phillies as we collapsed in the 2007 when the Mets and the Phillies overtook us. But when you think of this kid's age, I mean, he's going to be 18 soon. I mean, and he rides kind of like very cerebral for his age. I really am impressed. He seems like he always puts the horses in the right spot. And you know, a lot of guys, Megan, you'll know this more than anything. A lot of guys, bug boys, are kind of a little bit weak when they first start out on a horse. And it takes them a little while. We saw it a little bit with Joey Belmere last year, and he got better and better. It seems like Tyler was already polished when he got here at this young of age. That's kind of scary.
Advanced beyond his 17 years. Tyler Bacon riding for Dwayne Lucas, American Promise in this upcoming 10th and final. Horses still in the paddock. These 2-year-olds, riders up. Post-parade, that's next. The 10th, the nightcap from Oaklawn.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. A very gifted, fast horse, a lot of speed, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gun Runner, same ability and talent, beautiful physical, outworked every horse on the board. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses.
And Cyberknife has won the TVG.com Haskell over Tama. Jack Christopher finished third.
The Arkansas Derby was one of his best. Showed how much talent he really does have and stamped himself as one of the best 3-year-olds in the country.
His name is Cyberknife!
Cyberknife ranks up there as one of the most talented horses I've ever had in training. Multiple Grade 1 winner, brought it every time you let him over there. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. And if he does, he could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
This is my Oaklawn.
A reputation of excellence isn't built overnight. Day by day, year by year, decade after decade. For over 100 years, Claiborne's commitment to quality has led to unrivaled success. Building on the past, building for the future. Claiborne Farm. The tradition continues.
A day at Oaklawn Park, followed by an evening at DeLuca's. Richie, my plans next Saturday.
Ooh, I'm envious.
Crazy not to.
Envious. Great food at
So
DeLuca's.
good.
Do not sleep on the burger that's there or the meatballs. His pizzas are great. His meatballs, second best I ever had.
All this talk of bacon and pizza while I'm hungry.
Nice segue.
Nice
segue.
There's Anthony.
He's the best.
The greatest.
He is the best. Second best meatball? Second.
My wife
who makes
Carmela's
the best?
meatballs. If you're listening, Bobby Flay, throw down. You will not beat my wife's meatballs.
Well, if you're watching at home, you know where my favorite meatballs are from.
Both of you guys have to handle this very carefully. Very, very carefully.
But I'm telling the truth.
With the call to post for this 10th and final for 2-year-olds at Oaklawn Park. Post time in 8 minutes. And it is it's Tyler Bacon. It's Dwayne Lucas with American Promise 2-1, 8 minutes out.
Yes, horse ran extremely well last time, and from a figure standpoint, and very similar to the horse we just saw, Jinkin. American Promise is just kind of trending along in the right direction, getting better with every start.
And who won the last race that this horse was in? Monet's Magic, who we saw win Next Level Allowance race earlier in the card.
About an hour or so ago. Parading out in front of the crowd there at Oaklawn Park. It's been a fun day, hasn't it? Just focusing on horses representing the future. Every race, it's been a great idea since they started doing this a couple of years ago, a day dedicated just to the 2-year-olds.
It really is cool because all of these 2-year-olds, when they pick up racing again at Oaklawn and here in New York, will officially be 3-year-olds.
Mick, you see Tyler Bacon in here at 115 while the rest of them are at 120. I mean, do you think that makes much of a difference?
You know, I feel weight matters when there's a spread, but certainly if everybody else is carrying 20, you see with 15 and you get a good rider, sure.
Another look at the favorite, American Promise.
That's a great headshot from
Looks good, huh?
there. He needs a haircut. That's rich coming from me, isn't it?
Beach blinkers on.
And you get Christian Torres. You got to upgrade anything Christian Torres rides, and the horse does add blinkers.
You're going to do next, JK. Tell him to buy a suit. There's Nick's Glory.
Nick's Glory stretching out here, but does have some tactical speed.
Problem solved. The West Homebred.
Stretching out and has to improve off of that first try.
Publisher for the Asmussens.
Yeah, another one who handled the stretch out last time, ran third. going a little bit longer.
Fountain Lake looking for the late double with Francisco Arrieta.
With those short leaf stable colors we just saw in the winner's circle for the stake.
Restless Renegade took some early action, 3-1, second choice.
Sure did. Took a lot of early money. This son of Into Mischief likely will appreciate some added ground.
8 is out. Reverse merger here, the dirt debut.
Yeah, a couple of turf starts for this one is at least a little bit of a concern. It feels as if maybe Norm wanted this horse to be on the grass. No grass at Oaklawn. Well, let's give this dirt a try.
10 and 11 are out. 8 deep. 2-year-olds at mile and a 16th. The 10th and final from Oaklawn Park when we return. With American Promise, the current favorite at 2-1. More 2-year-olds. The 10th race from Oaklawn in 6 minutes. These freshmen continuing to warm up. Welcome back, America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 1. The nightcap from Oaklawn in 3 minutes. Paulie, who graduates?
Well, I thought that was a tougher race than it looked. And we'll start with the one, American Promise, the D. Wayne Lucas charge for Tyler Bacon. I'll tell you what, he was a little rambunctious in the stall. He was kicking the back of the stall when we had the shot on him a little bit. So he was a little bit full of himself. And I think he's going to make a good account of himself. I get he said he's a little bit undersold at 2-1. I don't know if I want to take that price, but obviously, you know, I would think D. Wayne's got this horse ready, and it's still amazing at his age. He's got the tack on, and he's saddling these horses. It's just truly awesome. The 5 Publisher, 4th start out of the cycle here, and all 3 starts have been 3rd place finishes. And you're wondering if this horse will get a little bit better. $600,000 purchase, so they haven't given up on him yet. So, you know, in 5-2, you're looking, I don't know. The 7 Restless Renegade is the horse that I'm going to land on in here. You know, got caught up in a fast pace last time. The first time out, he did not have the best of trips. And, you know, it seems like the Kenny McPeak horses just love off tracks. And, I was between the 7 and the 9. And the only reason I was watching Ricardo Santana who was going by, he said he's going to use the 7 as his target. You look at reverse merger in here. This horse lost a poster first time out. And obviously never been on the dirt before. But I'll choose the 7 here, Restless Renegade, for Julian Leparoux. And again, guys, I want to wish you guys all a happy New Year, happy holidays. And my one holiday wish for 2025, let's have a meatball cook-off at Saratoga. Let's go. Let's see who's got it. Mama Dukes. I got my Mama Dukes' recipe.
This thing's heating up. Heating up in a hurry.
Listen, I'm very confident. My wife's meatballs, I'm super confident. I'm probably in trouble with her right now because she does not like that kind of pressure. But I think what I'll do is I'll have her make a tray and bring them a few guys, and you tell me if
blind tasting.
There we go. There we go.
Somebody's saying, I'm not going to say who, I'm hearing all talk is what I'm hearing in my ear.
Yeah, I brought that particular gentleman in our ear a
you
really
heard
nice
it too.
plate of chicken and everything, and ask him how good it was.
I'm sitting very confident over here. No reason to talk.
Ooh,
something else to look forward to in the new year.
I got a cheat code.
The cheat code. The other cheat code here, Mig, with Restless Renegade, the horse Paulie likes, who you think are expecting a big effort from as well.
I think this horse is super live. His dam, Restless Rider, Grade 1 winner of the Alcibiades, was runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Right. And she was a very good horse, and I think this horse stretching out is going to get very comfortable. I think you get the right rider in Julian Leparoux to settle a horse down that wants to, jump on it and be just a touch keen. The 9-horse Reverse Merger ran twice on turf. The dam Sweet Sting was all turf, and her dam was the champion turf mare, Perfect Sting. So I have less confidence in that horse switching surfaces, but I do like Restless Renegade on the stretch out for the Son of Into Mischief.
I like the 7 quite a bit here. I mean, it's a horse that if you look down and the past performances, 2 kind of nondescript runs, and then you look up and the horse is taking money. It feels like one that's going to appreciate the added distance and appreciate the experience that they got in those first 2 starts.
American Promise, I guess the question is why 8-5? The betting public, why expecting a maiden break-in performance today after 5 misses thus far?
Well, I think the inside draw. Looking down and seeing Monet's Magic came out of that race to win earlier on today, this card. And I think this horse has kind of been a steady work in progress as well. Inside draw is important. I just 2 turns with young horses. You don't have to go fighting or to find position. You've already got that inside track.
Bacon, Lucas, won with Innovator earlier today, trying for a second on the afternoon. American Promise 3-2. At post time, one final time, Matt Duneman standing by with a call. Final race of the year at Oaklawn Park.
And the Gary and Mary West colors and Reverse Merger in the Wygod family colors. Last race of the year here at Oaklawn. We're ready to go. And Leroff in the nightcap. Nick's Glory bobbled a little bit coming out of there, and Problem Solved got squeezed as well. Reverse Merger from the far outside post as a share of the lead. There's a lineup, though. Speechless is also there. It's going to get really tight here for Restless Renegade and Fountain Lake. Both have to tap on the brakes. American Promise on the inside, part of the early action. And American Promise has the lead now by 3/4 of a length from Speechless. Reverse Merger into the 3rd position with Restless Renegade and Publisher, who's inside of that pair. Gap of 3 to Nick's Glory. Pretty keen here behind the speed on a strong hold right now, putting about 2.5 lengths on Fountain Lake, who's back towards the rear with Problem Solved as they head down the backstretch. 23 1/5 seconds, the first quarter mile set by American Promise. He's been hounded so far down the backstretch by Speechless, and now American Promise opens up the lead to a length. Speechless second, Reverse Merger third, Perch 3D. Publisher races inside of him. Restless Renegade back in the 5th position. Shown More Rain, and Nick's Glory is down on the inside of him. Asked to steady one in tight right as they hit the turn. Problem Solved under a hard hard ride, not picking it up. Fountain Lake has been outrun. They round the far turn, and in the words of the great Terry Wallace, here they come into the stretch of the last race of 2024. American Promise, quarter mile remains for him until he's a maiden no longer if he can stick around. Cuts the corner. Publisher, the only threat it appears. They're down the lane. American Promise asked for his best. Publisher on the outside attempting to reel him in. Huge space back to the others. American Promise, the son of Justify, has a 16th of a mile more to go. Publisher right up alongside now. American Promise desperate for the finish. American Promise, Tyler Bacon, D-Wade Lucas with 2 wins today. Publisher couldn't get him second. Nick's Glory, big space back to him in third. Speechless was fourth.
Some anxious moments late, but he was able to bear down when it mattered most. American Promise, Bacon, Lucas, 2 wins this afternoon.
American Promise looked like he was going to draw away, and he spotted the tire tracks where the gate was. His ears came up, and he started slowing down, putting his toes in the ground a bit. That allowed Publisher to make another run at him, and then he kind of kicked on. Keep an eye on him right here. Like I said, okay, he's going on. He's going to win quite comfortably. Watch his ears as he's getting closer to these tire tracks coming up. He starts seeing them, right? Look, right there.
Right there.
It's like radar there, and he even like did a little bobble over it, and that allowed Publisher to get closer than he would have, and then here he reasserted himself and finished the deal.
American Promise holding on, and at the start of the race, well, jockeys are jockeying for position into that clubhouse turn. Richie, what caught your eye in the early stages of this mile and a 16th affair?
Well, keep an eye on the 7, Restless Renegade, Julien Leperoux. I guess their plan was to try to rate, but you have an opportunity to drop your hands and clear. Instead, you put yourself in a position where it's going to tighten up. And we didn't get quite all the way to it, but he got put in a jam. Not a recipe for success. You got to go forward.
Not saying it's going to be the next Johnny V. Todd Pletcher, but this is going to be fun to follow. This is Tyler Bacon and D-Wayne Lucas.
He's going to sleep well tonight. Well, maybe not. Maybe he'll be too excited to sleep.
American Promise holds on at Oaklawn Park. That'll wrap things up for us. Look forward to seeing you, well, next year, right? Earlier today in the 120th running of the Queens County. How about Phileas Fogg? Just too fast to catch. Romero Mirage, big afternoon at the Big A. And moments ago in those John Ed Anthony colors, the Years End Stakes. Look out for this guy as she continues to improve. Jinkin with Francisco Arrieta for Lindsay Schultz. The feature at Oaklawn. Have a great night. Happy New Year, everyone.
Breed to pure California speed as Legacy Ranch welcomes Forbidden Kingdom.
It's Forbidden Kingdom, dominant in the San Vicente.
This blazing fast son of American Pharaoh went wire to wire in every one of his victories.
What a performance from Forbidden Kingdom in the San Felipe.
Posting 3 Grade 2 wins on dirt and turf.
Forbidden Kingdom, resolute, turns away a big bit.
Breed to the speed of California speed. Forbidden Kingdom, now standing at Legacy Ranch.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.